What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Was she a great big fat person?
All right. What is it, Friday night? Must be the Friday Night Radio Baloney Live. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing out there? Looks like we got Dramus in there, Izzy, Spambot, Candle Monkey, Rosie. How's everybody? Danny over on YouTube. Good to see you guys. All right. What are we talking about? Let's go to the menu, see what we're going to talk about tonight. It's not a huge night. I don't have a huge amount tonight. We maybe looking at 2 hours, maybe 2.5. I always say that, then we go 18 hours, but it looks like it's not going to be as long. And I got a bit of a headache too. So, there's that. So let's see, what are we going to talk about? Let's take a look at the menu. First off, we got, we're going to talk about the Trump State of the Union, obviously. And very, very, very interesting. And there's a lot to say about it. Really, mostly about the Democrat reaction. That when they chose to stand and applaud and when they chose not to. It said a lot about them. A lot that's really insane. We're going to talk about that. We're going to take a little bit of a look at Iran and look at a couple of perspectives on that. And then we're going to move along and take a look at Canadian media bias and just the insane reaction to the U.S.-Canada hockey game, which has just become frankly, just a national embarrassment. I mean, our media is just busy humiliating the entire country over this. How this can be the most important thing for Canadians right now is just insane. We can't possibly be that shallow of a country. We've got, Canada immigration. That's always bad news. So we're going to talk about crazy things like here, Pakistani refugee who returned to his homeland 6 times. Refugee who returned to his homeland 6 times wins chance to keep Canadian status. So at what point do you say it's a fake refugee? Is it the 7th visit home to the obviously safe country that he's fleeing from as a refugee? Apparently in Canada, you can go back at least 6 times to the country that you fled from because it's not safe. Yeah. Not very smart. Not very smart for Canada. Let's see. We've got Pierre Poilievre. He's really coming on strong. He had a great speech at the Economic Club of Canada, and I think he's having a bit of a reset, and it's a very healthy thing. Hopefully some of this will stick. We'll have to find out. We have got, I think, something very informative here because from Billboard, Chris posted this, right? So here he is with Peter Boghossian, and this is Colin Wright, I believe, who's an evolutionary biologist. And so here's a guy who's a psychologist, and they're doing street epistemology here. And this psychologist is going to argue with the evolutionary biologist about what makes a person a man or a woman. So yeah, anyway, this is quite informative. This is kind of ammunition that you might need if you get into an argument with a crazy person over their insane woke ideology. Woke mind virus. What do we got here? What are we going to talk about here? So a news crew walks around downtown Portland and doesn't go well. Let's see. We've got New York. They've got the Islamic call to prayer on buildings now. So the Islamists, they put speakers up at the mosques and blast out prayer. And New Yorkers aren't happy about it because they're not Muslims. And why should they have to listen to that at all hours of the morning and day and night? But this is New York now. New York, enjoy it. You voted for it. We've got Ben Mulroney here. We're going to listen to him talk about just the insane wokeness in Canada. Everybody always enjoys that. Liberal spending. We're sending money where we're sending $8 million to Cuba now for some reason. We'll go over liberal spending, the insane amount of spending they do that doesn't benefit Canadians. We've got some stuff on the UK. We've got Russell Brand here, who I don't show clips of him very often, but this is a good one here, talking about how the UK government is out of control. We shall look into that. And then we have the final bookmark of the evening. which is a bunch of stuff that you guys sent in. It's some stuff that I found myself. Mostly it's stuff that you guys sent in. And yeah, I guess somebody posted these two pictures of Sydney Sweeney here side by side, one with makeup on and one with no makeup on, is some sort of like oh, look how gross she is without makeup. I don't know. She looks pretty good. She looks pretty good to me. Let's see. So yeah, and there's usually, I mean, here's JD Vance memes. This is great. I think we'll have to save this one for the Monday premium stream, though. Some of this we have to save for Monday. Now, anybody watching on YouTube, please go to Radio Baloney News, which is my second channel. I've had it for about half a year now. Got 203 videos on it. This is where you'll find all the world news and US news and UK news and woke mind virus and meme reviews. Look at all this wonderful stuff that's here. This is the only channel you're going to find this on now, right? So, yeah, there's Newsom says he can't read, and there's Mom Donnie destroying New York, and then woke backfire. Wokester tried to move to, a scholar of the far right fled Trump to Canada. It hasn't turned out so well. Let's see, meme review, and then Macron says free speech is BS. All that stuff, you got to go to Radio Baloney News now. It's the featured channel on the homepage of this channel, which is just live streams and Canadian news. And even some of the Canadian news, I'm starting to migrate over to Radio Baloney News now. Please go over there and subscribe. The algorithm is not going to remind you that I exist. That's for sure. And then we have the Sanding Show, which we'll watch while I go through the chat. So, as everybody knows, we're streaming on Rumble, we're streaming on YouTube, we're streaming on X, we're streaming on Locals. And when you subscribe to the channel, when you become like a channel member, when for some crazy reason you go nuts and send me money, whatever, you get free good karma, obviously. But the easiest way is just like the stream. Like the stream, you get free good karma. Boom. And if you get in early, you get extra. So Dramus, like number 1. That's 6 good karmas right there. Boom. Izzy's got the second. That's 5 good karmas. Pretty nice. Spambot got number 4. So that would be 3 good karmas, I think. And and then you guys can work it out for yourselves, the rest of it, right? Just know that a wonderful thing is happening. Spambot says, let's get this show on the road. Boom. All right. So what are you guys talking about? Candle Monkey says, likey, 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 likey. Very well indeed. Let's see. Unfortunately, Rosie says she's working late. Well, we'll have to see you later, Rosie. Hopefully we'll see you later. Izzy says, just wait, maybe they'll stop dropping bombs in Iran. Well, who knows? I'm not expecting anything to happen tonight, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll keep an eye on that, as we go through the stream. You guys keep an eye out. Let me know in the chat if they start dropping bombs. I don't expect it's going to happen. Let's see. Teddy says, hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope everyone is doing well. Doing very well. A little bit of a headache, but doing well. All right. Well, I guess that's it. So, should we just get into the news then? Should we just start? Izzy says, wow, she's a good sander. She is. She's demonstrating proper sanding technique, right? So you don't hurt your wrist or anything like that. And proper attire for sanding. All right. I used to have a different sanding video. I don't know if you guys remember, but sometimes they just disappear. People delete them or something. I don't know. I forgot about it. But anyway, it's a good video. That's for sure. Let's say Trump completely embarrasses the Dems during the State of the Union. So Trump set a trap, several traps throughout the State of the Union address, and the Democrats just fell right into it. This is what happens when you don't even really have a philosophy or a plan or any principles. It's just whatever Trump does is bad. It makes it easy for him to set traps for you to easily walk into. Like, let's take a look at this.
The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up.
Yeah, protect American citizens. Protect American citizens. Can everybody stand for that? Not them, because it's Trump, so it must be bad. Let's watch this.
I think the part of the speech that's probably going to live on for most Republicans is when he asked the Congress, stand up if you think your duty is first to American citizens before illegal aliens. Republicans stood up. It gave him his most sustained applause for the night. I suspect, man, you're going to see this in a lot of campaign ads that Democrats wouldn't stand up. What did you all think of the showmanship of that, or of sort of the spectacle of trying to get Democrats to stand up for that?
Well, I think the point, I think that you know, and it may have gotten a little muddled, but, you know, in the showmanship, but I think his point is valid. Everybody in that room represents the citizens in this country. And are you doing your job? He should, you know, the governor asked, is Trump doing his job? Trump asked, are all of you doing your job?
But don't I think the
thing is that it's such an obvious thing, right? Like, obviously you're supposed to represent your own citizens. Like, you're not elected, you know, to the World Congress. So your responsibility should be for the people that voted for you. Now, of course, because Trump said it, they have to be against it. But I guess as well, there is the aspect, I guess, of course, because Trump said it, they have to be against it. But also, too, it does seem like their worldview is that no, they actually are, like, borders shouldn't exist. It's just anybody, they are, you know, representatives of the world, I guess, in their view. I mean, a lot of these people are communists, they're Marxists, right? These are open borders people. So I guess that's their view. And it seems unbelievable, right? It's why it's so shocking when they won't stand for something that just is just common sense. But it's not common sense to them. They have a different world view. And even if they did, some of them, it's just purely just politics, right? Certainly. Some level of them, maybe even most of them, it's just politics. Trump said it, must be bad. Anyway, let's keep going. What do we have here? From Bo Luden, breaking: President Trump's State of the Union address is being turned into an animation and is going viral on social media. Well, let's check this out. These people are crazy.
卵の価格は下がっている。ダウ平均は5万ポイントを超えている。こんな負け犬どもの言うことを聞くな。アメリカは復活した。
Most memeable president of all time. Let's see. Well, this is interesting. Daily Wire asked students at George Washington University on Monday about how Trump did in his State of the Union speech. They all said, terrible, wait a second, asked on Monday, but it was on Tuesday. Of course, the actual speech was on Tuesday, huh? Not the brightest bunch.
College kids are telling us Trump's State of the Union didn't go so well. The only problem? It's tomorrow. Rate Trump's State of the Union speech 1 out of 10. 1's the worst, 10's the best. Negatives. And why? I think we all know a lot of reasons. Yeah. What about the state?
We do know, because it's fashion. You have to say that. It doesn't matter. Content doesn't matter. Just fashion.
State of the Union last night, 1 to 10.
It was like a 1 or 2. I mean, it was all over the place.
Probably just give it a 0 overall. I'm gonna give it a 1.
And why do you say 1?
I don't think he's very articulate.
How did Trump do at the State of the Union?
0. I'll be real, I didn't watch it.
I didn't really watch it much. I watched it for a little bit, but turned it off.
I mean, it's weird. Do they believe that did that woman, that last woman, does she really believe that she actually watched part of it? They're just lying. I mean, it's baffling.
1 to 10.
It was like a
State of the Union.
0. I'll be real, I didn't watch it.
I didn't really watch it much. I watched it for a little bit, but turned it off.
The State of the Union last night. How was that 1 to 10? No, it's last night. That was tomorrow. No, you're good. You passed the test. Good job. College kids are telling us Trump.
So they had one. Now we don't know how many they talked to who said, "Oh, it's not tonight. Last night. It's tomorrow." So we don't know that. But the fact that at university, any of them, and you can see how eager they are to just virtue signal, to show that they are fashionable, right? They're not with the uncool side. It's just performance. It's performance art at this point. Do they know anything about his policies? Do they understand anything? I'm guessing no. Why bother? You don't need to. You just need to say the right thing. You just need to be against the right thing, and that's it. You're fine. All right. Now, the Democrats had a counter event to the Trump's State of the Union. I watched the PBS part of this. I was watching this on PBS. Of course, it was on PBS before the speech, and of course, it was totally deranged. But let's take a look here.
I'm a mother. I am a physician, and I have a flag. And I am the proud representative for Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And tonight, I defy Trump and his authoritarian project by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade.
So are these all Antifa? Because Antifa was dressing up in these stupid costumes until people started spraying pepper spray into them while they were wearing them. Are these all Antifa? Probably. Right? What, this is Portland?
I'm a mother. I am a physician, and I have a flag.
State of the swamp, huh? So, yeah, this is what they have to offer. This is their counter. Wow. Let's see. Check this out. When's the last time you saw this? CBS News fact check on the murder rate. Okay, they say in his 2026 State of the Union, President Trump said last year the murder rate saw its single largest decline in recorded history. This is the biggest decline. I think of it in recorded history, the lowest number in over 125 years. A CBS News fact check has determined that it is true. When is the last time? When is the last time that like CBS News or ABC News or any of them have not lied about Trump in a fact check? When is the last time? I mean, it's just that this is shocking to me. Now, I guess Barry Weiss took over CBS News and she's trying to clean it up. So it looks like she actually is. Because that's amazing. Because it's almost shocking. You almost can't believe it that a fact check said that it's true. Because normally they lie, or what they'll do is they'll fact check something that he didn't actually say in a very misleading way. But no, it's true. Huh, weird. It's sad that it's become shocking when they do something that isn't pure propaganda. Oh, here we go. So what happened here? Some absolute hero ran on stage during Democrat Senator Chris Murphy's State of the Union boycott and shouted, "Go Trump, you're a scumbag." Let's take a look.
This is the moment. This is the reason that she came here to the United States, to speak truth to power, to explain the trials and tribulations that every immigrant, that every refugee goes through to get here, and to press this country to the border. I stuck in the border. Go Trump! Go Trump! Hey Murphy, you're a scumbag. Thanks, man. Thanks, buddy.
Did he say I snuck in the border? Oh, it's funny. You have to wonder with these people like this, like the trials and the tribulations they had to go through. Well, so do they really just think that if anybody can get to, I guess they do just really believe that if anybody can just get to the border, that's it, they're in. I mean, it seems shockingly childish and insane, right? I mean, that is literally open borders. They do seem to believe it. I mean, some of them surely are pretending, but some of them, I'm sure, actually do. Hold on. From Kanakawa the Great, Democrats stayed seated when President Trump called for justice for Irina Zarutska, brutally murdered by a career criminal, released on no cash bail in North Carolina. How can Democrats not stand for the crying mother of Irina Zarutska? This is what I'm talking about when I say Trump just set a trap for them. I guess knowing that they won't stand just because it's Trump, right? So a grieving mother, this is going to be seen by millions and millions of people, and they'll be seen to not standing, for having no empathy or decency, right? It's just all politics with them, and they do it anyway. It's almost like when your entire platform is just Trump bad, everything Trump does is bad, right? It does make it very easy for your opponent, for Trump to set a trap for you and then just watch you fall into it. Let's take a look.
Hey, what's going on with Charlotte? Last summer, 23-year-old Irina was riding home on the train when a deranged monster who had been arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail stood up and viciously slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget. There were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal, set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zarutska, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina. How do you not stand? How do you not stand? I'm asking this Congress to pass tough legislation to ensure that violent and dangerous repeat offenders are put behind bars, and importantly, that they stay there.
I mean, how does it even make political sense to be like apparently just overtly on the side of homicidal maniacs murdering people, murdering women on public transport? It's just say, no, we have no empathy for this grieving mother because Trump, because Orange. Just bizarre. Let's see. Trump did. Oh, this is older. Hold on. All right, we already saw that. Hold on. Oh, so again, here is the Democrat State of the Swamp, their State of the Union boycott event. Let's see. The absolute state of the Democratic Party, says Libs of TikTok. Well, let's take a look.
I'm fresh out of an ICE prison in Minneapolis. I've been arrested 3 times by ICE over absurdity, over us being ourselves, over me singing songs like, "Hey, Mr. Tangerine Man, get rid of brown people for me. I'm Aryan white. There ain't no place I'm going to." And then all of a sudden, these not ready for primetime player ICE agents with 2 weeks of training come after me. I got arrested in Portland. I got arrested in Minneapolis in the last 3 weeks twice, but they can't.
Wow. 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 This is how they choose to represent themselves. What was there like? Was PCP part of the catering? What? This is what they are? This is how they want to present themselves?
can't erase a movement, all right? What I went through is 1/1000th of a lot of marginalized people and what they have to go through in those ICE detention centers. And I want to tell you something right now. There's an announcement. Pumpkin Spice Satan is making his way.
Here's what I don't understand. So, marginalized people. So I guess he's talking about people that are in the United States illegally, some of whom have committed horrible crimes. And there, so for this guy, some cartel guy who snuck into the United States and murdered 3 people, right? Or a guy who snuck in and was a drunk driver and killed, 2 people, killed a family or something. Do they count as marginalized? I think at this point you have to say, yes, for them, for these lunatics, yes, they count as marginalized, right? It's just anybody, but just like a normal person is marginalized. Anybody. It's not even that. It's anybody, but just a straight white man is marginalized, and it doesn't matter what they do. And they're just willing to take this all the way, right? And this isn't having this represent them, not embarrassing to them, not embarrassing at all. They're just fine with it. Let's see. What else we got here? Let's see. Hold on. Al Green just walked out of Trump's speech, and not a soul in the world gives a damn. From Steven Crowder. This was really kind of pathetically impotent, wasn't it? I mean, it is just such theater, such obvious, transparent theater. Let's take a look.
Ah, geez, Tommy's not standing. Take a drink. Bring up the drinking game rules.
Every applause break.
Every applause where people do not stand. Commies do not stand.
Come on, commies, do it for America. Oh, he's walking out? Is that what's happening?
Goodbye.
Oh,
this guy again?
This guy again? Boo!
So easy that guy can do it.
Get out.
And we how lazy this guy he did at the beginning.
We were just a very short time ago. We're not going back.
What a piece of trash.
It's nothing. It's just this kind of impotent performance art. Nobody cares. Dreadful. I don't know who are they impressing with that. Let's see. A lot of. Okay, I think I've got some more. Hold on. Yeah, we got the frog people, the murder rate thing. We got him. We got them sitting. We have that, whatever that guy was. There's Crowder. Okay. Project Constitution wrote this. Breaking, Trump just set the perfect trap, and Democrats walked right into it. Okay, let's take a look. And obviously, it was obvious what he was doing too, right? It's to get the reaction from the Democrats.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
There they are, not standing. So they're opposed to their first duty being to protect American citizens. Look, it's all of them there. Look at them. Look at them all. You can see there. I mean, he knew it was going to happen. He knew they were going to do it. He knew they were going to do it. You can tell the expression on his face there. It's like, yep, you just walked right into it. And the thing is, it's not cynical on Trump's part because he knows what's going to happen. It's obviously done to get their reaction so that can be played a billion times so people can see. The Democrats refuse to say that their first duty is towards the American people, the people who voted for them, right? But Trump does believe that. He clearly believes that that's his priority, right? That's his priority. They're sat there. They are sat there. Some of them must be thinking to themselves, this is a really bad look, actually, because, obviously, yes, we want to flood as many people across the borders as possible for political gain, right? And hopefully turn the United States into a one-party state. But, I mean, this looks really bad. This looks really bad. I mean, this leaves no room for doubt what our goals are. And I love that the applause just keeps going and they're forced to just keep sitting there. You can see him there, right? Look at his face. Look at his face. He's like, oh God, this is really bad. This is really bad. Because it's not like everybody stood up and clapped for a few seconds. It goes on, and they're forced to just sit there in their poison, just for everybody to see. I mean, it's brilliant. I got to say, it's brilliant. Politically, it's brilliant for Trump and it's so easy. It's like, I'm sure he didn't have to think very long about it. Just like, oh yeah, they'll just sit there and look awful and just reveal themselves to the entire world. I mean, but the thing is, when Trump says it, he means it. He really does mean it, right? He's for American citizens. He's not for the world. But look at the expression on his face there. It's like, oh, God. Oh, man. He got us. He got us good. And he did. Yes, he did. All right. What was this here? Hold on. So here's a Democrat saying she'd rather stick forks in her eyes than watch the State of the Union or watch her. No, she had to go to the State of the Union, but she'd rather stick forks in her eyes because I guess she'd be forced to reveal herself. What a soulless goblin she is. Let's take a look.
And I'll just end with this. I would rather stick forks in my eyes than be here tonight to listen to Donald Trump talk about the State of the Union. But this is the people's house, and I will not abandon the people's house. And that is why I feel it's really important to bring Angel Silva here to represent. And
I will not abandon the people's house. I will be here to show the American people that I have abandoned them in favor of just anybody who gets here 5 minutes from now, who sneaks across the border. I mean, it's really, it is shocking. It's striking. I mean, how much ultimate difference will it make in public opinion long term? I mean, look, they've got the whole machine behind them, and that's powerful, right? The Democrats could run they could run the guy who murdered the Ukrainian woman on the Irina Zarutska on that train and get 46%. I'm not kidding. They'd get that, right? They could it could be a canned ham. And then we get 46%, because that's politics now, unfortunately. All right, let's go to the chat. What are you guys talking about? Izzy says, wow, she's a good sander. How you doing, Izzy? Let's see. Trudeau Survivor. How you doing, Trudeau Survivor? Says, what is she making? I have a guess, but I won't say it. Is it a wooden penis, perhaps? I don't know. She just started on it. Maybe a chair, maybe just a chair leg. Let's see. Izzy says, what is with the frogs? Are they trying to steal Pepe from us? Never. Never. Danny says the left in Canada is becoming more tribe. Well, the left is identical in Canada and the US, in the UK, Australia, I assume throughout Europe, certainly the Anglosphere. The left is identical. They believe identical things. They are just interchange. They're just faceless, interchangeable cogs in a woke machine, in a dysfunction machine. They're all exactly the same. They think exactly the same things. And it all actually came. Well, it started in French academia in the 60s, where it was determined that class Marxism, class communism wasn't working. So they made the move to identity. And then that took over the American universities. And from there, it spread everywhere. Right. And now the left is identical everywhere, down to the news. Right. So like MS Now is pretty much identical to CBC. They're all the same thing. The BBC, CBC, they're all the same thing. Now they're all identical, just again, faceless parts of the same identity dysfunction machine. Let's see. Izzy says, I wanted to watch her stick forks in her eyes. Oh, dear. Let's see. All right. Now you guys are just talking about pizza. So I'm just going to go back to the show again. Let's see. So let's talk about Iran. So we've got a couple of different kind of views on it here. Rob Schneider, just a friendly reminder that all the university students and Marxists who worked with the Islamists to overthrow the Shah of Iran were all later murdered by the same Islamists, imprisoned, tortured, right? That's the way it goes, right? They were very, very foolish to align themselves with the Islamists. And it seems to just be a really decades old thing. I mean, the Iranian Revolution was 1979, right? So this is a really long-standing thing of the left aligning themselves with Islamists, right? The left has been, Palestine crazy since going back to the 60s, I guess. So, but the same fate will awaits all of them, right? You're not getting your perfect feminism, your perfect feminist society. I'm sorry, queers for Palestine. You're not welcome unless it's on top of a rooftop, and then not for long. So, yeah, friendly reminder. Let's see. Only London, 36,500 plus unarmed civilians massacred in Iran. Well, nobody really knows the whole number, but there are numbers like tens of thousands going around, right? Where is Hanoi Jane Fonda? Where is Greta Thunberg? Where is Mark Ruffalo? Where are the Free Palestine activists? Silent. Well, I think it's confusing for them because Islam's supposed to be great. That's the best expression of humanity, human spirit ever. Wonderful, can't do anything wrong. Just makes your society stronger. And I guess the more Islamic, the better, I guess. But they're also, massacring civilians. And that is definitely happening. I don't know if you can go for a number like, as specific as 36,500, but it's a lot, right? It's a lot of people being massacred. So, but I mean, there she is with her keffiyeh on, right? It's a problem because they're supposed to be the good guys, right? The Islamic theocracy. The totalitarian state, the Islamic dictatorship is supposed to be the good guys, right? Because they're not white. So it's a problem for them. What do we have here? So here is the I guess he is the the grandson of the old Shah. He's in that family. Reza Pahlavi. So he's, I guess the heir to the throne in Iran. Today, the updated version of the emergency phase booklet of the Iran Prosperity Project is being released. The Iran Prosperity Project is the fifth component of our 5-part strategy to reclaim and rebuild Iran. IPP presents the vision and the plan for the transition to democracy and the reconstruction of the country. Now, if democracy is actually in the offing for this, I have no idea. Let's hear what he says here.
همیهنان عزیزم، امروز نسخه بروز شده کتابچه دوران اضطرار پروژه شکوفایی ایران منتشر می شود. پروژه شکوفایی ایران بخش پنجم از استراتژی.
Okay, we don't really actually need to watch that, but yeah, I mean, we've heard about democracy coming before, people promising it in various places, and it doesn't really happen, but we shall see. Secretary Marco Rubio, today I designated Iran as a state sponsor of wrongful detention. For decades, the Iranian regime has cruelly detained innocent Americans and citizens of other nations to use as political leverage. Iran must end this abhorrent practice and immediately free all unjustly detained Americans. That's from February 27th, so today. Chaya's clan here says, in one of the most hilarious and pathetic attempts to intimidate the U.S., the Islamic Republic released this AI video. So that doesn't look very real. It really doesn't. They don't just take off like that, and their wings don't just melt into the side of tunnels, So, yeah, that's clearly not real. Maybe it's a video game. I don't know. But that's clearly not real. Let's see. Now, there's like a huge fleet of American ships around there. They're in the Mediterranean. They're at the Arabian Gulf. So I mean, they're ready to do something if they're going to do something. Let's see. Okay, now here is Daniel Davis, and 4-time combat vet. I watch a lot of his stuff on the Russia Ukraine war. I think he's generally quite good, although he does tend to get a little bit hyperbolic, and a lot of his predictions about that war have not happened. But I think he's doing his best to be honest, and I do think he believes this stuff. So let's take a look.
To be clear, listen, this is not in the article, but make sure you do not miss this. You have senior administration officials openly saying we want Israel to start a war against Iran, and we want Iran to retaliate and kill Americans in the region, blow up bases, knock down, well, it wouldn't be knocking down airplanes at that time, but he wants them to either attack ships in the region or the bases in. He wants that to happen so that when Americans are dead, now then, President Trump, in umbrage and just incredulous and angry, how dare they do this? We're going to go, and then they're going to get the rally around the flag deal. They'll have all of Congress rallying behind it, etc. Don't miss that. You're being lied to. And they're also saying, hey, but if that doesn't work, if the lies don't work, we need a backup plan. We need Israel to launch a war and Americans to get killed, so then we have to go in there. That is dastardly. I'm calling this out for what it is, folks. It's right there for you to see. Not hard to see. The lies are embarrassingly pathetic. They're paper thin. It's easy to see through them. And then you have this openly in the press. We're trying to get to a situation to where Americans can get killed to make it easier for us to get into a war that 70% of Americans are opposed to. That is one of the bigger alarm bells that should be going off, that our government is trying to ignore.
So I don't know how true that is. I think you can say that if somehow by a miracle they were able to overthrow that government without actually having to get into a ground war, the Iranian, particular Iran is quite a young country. A lot of their parents were killed in the Iraq-Iran war, and they do seem to be, the younger generation there do seem to be very pro-West, and they would prefer to have a Western-style country and government. And I've heard it said that the vast majority of apostates, Islamic apostates, so people who have abandoned Islam, are Iranians. And you notice Iranians in the West, typically they just seem Western, right? So I don't know, is my point. I thought I'd give you, some different perspectives on it, and you guys can make up your own minds, because I don't know. All right, let's go back to the chat. Let's see. You guys are still just talking about pizza? All right, let's move on. So, all right. Good Lord. So this is what's going on in Canada here. Look, Globe and Mail, the State of the Union was a zoo, and Team USA, the monkeys. I mean, this is what Canada has fallen to. Globe and Mail, national newspaper. This is what Canada has fallen to. And this is all sour grapes, because so many Canadians, it seems, put so much of themselves, of their emotions, their energy into a hockey game. A hockey game. Yes, I know it's a national sport, right? I've been a lifelong hockey fan. I played hockey when I was a kid, okay? But I don't know. I've grown up enough. I've matured enough to not let a hockey game determine, like, my mood, for instance, right? Like, a team can lose, and I'm okay, right? What we're seeing is just a hysterical, well, to quote Jamil Giovanni, hissy fit. And this is all we've had in Canada. The Canadian population has been wound up into this idiotic hysteria over the United States, over Trump, over the last year. And it's all to serve the interest of the Liberal Party, of course. I'm just shocked that so many people have fallen for it. This is what we have. Let's see. What do we have here? CTV News. Team USA captain calls Trump White House invite a distasteful joke. There's Team USA. The women's team won. I mean, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what Trump meant, but it just seemed like a joke. I don't know exactly what he meant by it. Trump is very off the cuff a lot of time. He's not, on script a lot of the time. Who cares, right? Globe and Mail and CTV doing hit pieces for Team USA. Mark Nixon posted this. The real joke is Canadian mainstream media. It's just gotten embarrassing at this point. It genuinely has. Yeah, it's Globe and Mail. State of the Union was a zoo, and Team USA, the monkeys. I thought that was racist to call people monkeys, by the way. Huh. Look at this. Ryan Garrettson posted this. Witness Canadian mainstream media over the last couple of days. Well, what do we got here? And this is just constant in the Canadian media. Okay. The Canadian media is just bought and sold for the Liberal Party. Let's see. What do we got here? Trump sticks to celebratory script in State of the Union with one angry detour. The U.S. president's tone darkened as he spoke of illegal alien criminals. I wish they would spend some time talking about actual, maybe the Liberal Party, maybe like fact-checking the Liberal Party occasionally or something, or asking questions like, why is everything still terrible? Let's see. Austin Matthews made his choice, seemingly putting the party and the president ahead of the playoffs. What? Austin Matthews, a star player for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's an American. Toronto Star. Smith and Poilievre find someone to blame for their problems. Immigrants. Yeah, because he's expressing a concern of the majority of Canadians about mass immigration. Let's see. State of the Union was a zoo and Team USA the monkeys. Let's see. Why the U.S. Olympic hockey victory is a win for Canada. How exactly? We lost the game. I mean, not just technically, we lost the game. Hockey-loving kids just witnessed their heroes acting like cowards. So because Americans went to the State of the Union when their president asked them to, they're not Canadian, by the way. They're Americans. They're talking about Americans here. Anyway, yeah, here's another one. CTV National News. Trump's lengthy State of the Union address misses its mark. One of the reasons I started up this channel in the first place was to counteract the insane bias in mainstream. One of the reasons I started up this channel, a major reason was to try and do my own small little part to counteract the insane bias and poison coming out of a Canadian media which is obsessed with American politics and the orange man bad stuff, right? And this was important to do, and it's important for anybody to do this who's doing it in Canada, because this poisons Canadian politics. So what they do is the government-funded media attacks relentlessly. It's just a tsunami of propaganda, bitter, poisonous propaganda against American conservatives. And then the Liberal Party of Canada, the leftist politicians in Canada, use that as a bludgeon to attack Canadian conservatives, to call them, for instance, Maple MAGA. It's this little circle jerk going on where the party funding the media uses the media to attack the United States, American conservatives, right? And then the people who are funding these attacks then use that to attack Canadian conservatives. Do you see how this works? It's a scam. It's a psyop. So that's why a huge reason why I started the channel was to try and counteract that. Be like, okay, well, listen, Canadians, here's another side you might not have considered, right? That you're not going to see in all this poisonous rhetoric coming from the Toronto Star and the CBC and the Globe and Mail and CTV and Global News. And this has only gotten worse. It has only gotten worse. Yeah, hockey-loving kids just witnessed their heroes acting like cowards. What? They're Americans, okay? He's their president. Amazing. I mean, it's weird, like the sense of entitlement in the Canadian media. So what? He plays for a Canadian hockey team. So? You don't own him. All right. I mean, if they want to drive every good American hockey player out of Canada, well, I guess maybe that's their goal. I don't know. Let's see. And here, I'm going to show you here. This is a guy who just talks about hockey. He just talks about hockey. Steve Dangle. He's just a hockey podcast guy. He just talks about hockey. This is what all of the poison that comes out of Canadian media, the relentless poison that comes out of it, this is what it's doing to Canadians' brains. Take a look. And by the way, I've watched this stuff. I think he's entertaining, right? I'm actually surprised to see this. And it's unfortunate and it's sad that this is what's happening to Canadians' brains, right? They're paying for the propaganda that turns them into this.
Hey, we look forward to the U.S. Beating our soon-to-be 51st state, Canada. You fucking asshole. We'll never be your 51st state. Mm-hmm. And that's got nothing to do with hockey. That's got everything to do with you motherfuckers showing up at our front door with guns and tanks and shit. Of course.
Okay. So that's obviously insane, right? They have not shown up with guns and tanks to take over Canada. I've said many times now, right, that what so many Canadians seem to genuinely believe, that there is this big threat that the United States is going to militarily invade Canada. This is an incredibly childish and idiotic fear to have. It's insane. I mean, it's almost baffling how anybody can hold this thought in their mind for more than a second without disregarding it. Obviously, that's not going to happen. It's just beyond insane, right? But this is what it's done to Canadians' brains. This is what the media has done to Canadians, okay?
Of course, we're going to feel a certain type of way about that. And you're the captain of a Canadian NHL team, Austin, Brady, Connor Hellebuck might as well be.
Quinn until a couple months ago.
Quinn until a few months ago, and you shook hands with that motherfucker? Fuck.
Okay, so American players shook hands with their president. With their president. Do you think any Americans would complain for Canadian hockey players to shake? If Canadians had one to go show up, do a photo op with Cardi and shake his hand, think any Americans would give two shits? No, absolutely not. The level of derangement in Canada is just off the charts. I mean, it's actually scary. You know, it goes further. It takes me further. It takes me closer to that black pill, you know, that I'm trying to desperately avoid. I'm trying to have hope for this country. This isn't helping. This isn't helping. If this is just mainstream insanity in Canada, bizarre. I don't, Izzy's saying it's fake outrage. I think in this case, I don't think it is. I think this guy actually believes it. I think he actually believes it. Izzy says, media propaganda at its finest. Izzy says, this is why people stopped watching sports. People are there for the game, not politics. It's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing, this level of, it's sour grapes, obviously, right? I know myself personally, I didn't put that much of myself into the game. I went, oh, this is just a hockey game. Oh, I guess this doesn't change my life in any way at all, in any measurable way, unless I want to allow it to. Right? So, and this ties in with Pierre Poilievre's speech, which we're going to get to, about stoicism. Maybe we need to take a stoic approach. He quotes Marcus Aurelius, right? This is what I do. This is what's kept me sober for 8 years. Okay, is adopting a more stoic approach to life, right? Realizing that I have power over my own mind, right? I don't have to let the media derange me, right? I don't have to pretend that a hockey game means anything. It's fun. It's entertainment. If my team wins, great. But, to be honest with you, I don't really watch much of it at all anymore anyway, for the reason that I've realized that it's actually not important. Yeah. But yeah, this is why people stopped watching sports. Yeah. There's actually a lot of Canadians who don't watch hockey anymore, which, as it's been like a national religion. For many people it still is. Obviously for this guy it is, but for a lot of people, it's a lot less people that are interested in it than used to be. Let's see what's going on here. So let's see, CBC Watcher. So talking about the obsession with American news, and Canadian media has an obsession with American news, and there's a purpose behind it, right? It's to attack anything conservative in the States, right? And then to use that to pretend that Canadian conservatives are American conservatives. And then they can call them Maple MAGA and, use that as a bludgeon to attack them constantly, right? Because the goal is in Canada, the mainstream media in Canada has one goal, and that is to preserve its paymaster, to keep its paymaster in power. That's it. So this is it. This is the stuff they obsess over. They talk about American news more than Canadian, and there's a purpose behind it. So let's see. The two main pieces on the National last night, that's CBC, one on U.S. immigration and customs enforcement, and the other on a fake Republican running in North Carolina. They're obsessed with ICE right now because that's the big fashionable thing to get into, to attack Americans. I never hear them actually saying, though, that Canada should have no immigration enforcement. They never say that, weirdly, because they seem to believe that for the states. They're so indignant and shocked that Trump would actually deport people. They also seem to have forgotten that Barack Obama deported a lot of people. The other on a fake Republican running in North Carolina. Let's take a look.
Now, let's dig a little deeper into the stories shaping our world. Created after 9/11 as a national security tool, the targets of Immigration and Customs Enforcement were clear.
Felons, not families. Criminals, not children.
We'll examine.
Are you going to mention that he deported 6 million people? Were they all felons? Were they? Remember the kids in cages thing? That was under Obama. Are you going to mention that? Of course not. Because you're not real news, you're propaganda. See, you're using this as a weapon.
How Donald Trump turned ICE into a mass deportation machine. But first.
Again, Obama deported like 6 million people. Trump isn't even on, he's not on track to even get anywhere near that so far. But in any case, let's continue.
I am your fake Republican candidate for Congressional District 14. A lifelong Democrat, Kate Barr, says gerrymandering in North Carolina has forced her to run in a Republican primary. Katie Simpson hit the campaign trail with Barr.
So when I tell you that CBC, BBC, they're, CNN, MS Now, ABC News, they're all exactly the same thing. This is what I'm talking about. This looks, for the Americans watching right now, this looks exactly like CNN, right? I mean, the colors are a little different. Maybe the production quality is a little worse, but it's the same. This could just be on CNN or MS Now. Used to be MSNBC, right? It's all exactly, they're just all faceless cogs in the same dysfunction machine. They love talking about Donald Trump and the Epstein files, but they don't like talking about this. Well, who's that? Isn't that Ghislaine Maxwell there? It sure is, with Cardi and his wife. Huh. Wow. Let's see. Look at this. There they all hanging out. All hanging out. Zero interest in this. Now, I don't think this proves anything. They knew lots of people, right? But there's no evidence Trump did anything either. But they're all over that all the time. But nothing. This doesn't exist for the mainstream media in Canada. Okay, this has just been disappeared. So I think it's appropriate for people from other countries who see what is happening in Canada and to have some pity on Canada, because we're victims of our own government, our own media. The media and the government are basically the same thing. It's funded by the government, right? Media is funded by the government. At least to say, all of it, every mainstream thing is subsidized to some extent, right? It's all just the same thing. Academia, the government are the same thing. Every institution is just one with the Liberal Party now. And there's a lot of smooth-brained people who are really susceptible to the idea pathogen, right? And the propaganda. All right. Izzy says, these people are running on pure tribalism. Yep. It's all about them. It's all about team loyalty above all else. Well, it's also just an epidemic of first-order thinking in Canada, which is just no planning, immediate gratification, just emotions, right? As opposed to second-order thinking, which is, well, what then, right? First-order thinking is elbows up, orange man bad. Second-order thinking is, well, what then? What after that? So what happens after elbows up? Okay, nobody thought about what happens after elbows up, right? This is it here. This is just purely emotional response. All right. So, Canada immigration. Well, first off, we got a Pakistani refugee who returned to his homeland 6 times. 6 times, wins chance to keep Canadian status. I guess we'd better take a look at this article, huh? Let's see. Pakistani refugee who returned to his homeland 6 times, wins chance to keep Canadian status. So he's a refugee who returned to his homeland 6 times. So he returned to the place that he's a refugee from, because I guess it was unsafe for him to be there, but it was safe enough to go back 6 times. Maybe 7 times, that's the limit, right? You can no longer be a refugee. I don't know what the rules are, but it seems like the plan is just get as many people into the country as possible and keep them here, because even if his refugee claim is rejected, he's still not going anywhere. They still don't send them home. So they just put them on welfare and health benefits. Between January 2016 and March 2022, the man returned to Pakistan 6 times and spent 336 days in the country, attending a large wedding with nearly 100 guests, the ruling notes. A federal court judge set aside a ruling by Canada's Refugee Protection Division, saying it failed, quote, to engage with a critical piece of evidence when it revoked a Pakistani man's refugee status after he returned to the country on multiple occasions. So, critical piece of evidence. Well, I should think that the most critical piece of evidence is that he went back 6 times. He's clearly not a refugee. He's a fake refugee, obviously. Yeah, so the judiciary in Canada appears to be totally ideologically captured. Irfan Ahmed arrived in Canada under the Convention Refugee Abroad program in 2014, citing his status as a member of the Ahmadi community, a persecuted Muslim minority group in Pakistan. Persecuted, very dangerous for him. I mean, he could barely bring himself to go back there 6 times. However, since attaining refugee status, immigration authorities found that Ahmad twice visited the Pakistani consulate in Toronto, both times to receive a passport. Between January 2016 and March 2022, Ahmad returned to Pakistan 6 times, spending 336 days in the country. The RPD, a division of the Immigration Refugee Board of Canada, found Ahmad, quote, voluntarily re-availed himself of the protection of Pakistan and, quote, had not provided sufficient evidence to rebut the presumption, the judgment reads. The tribunal found Ahmad's description, quote, of the agents of persecution evolved depending on his audience. So evolved, I think, is a euphemism for he was lying. He was making it up, shifting between fear of religious extremists and government authorities on different occasions. The RPD found his statements to be inconsistent. Well, I just wonder if the whole, returning 6 times, and going to a wedding there, I wonder if that says anything. I wonder if that could contribute to the inconsistency of his claims of being in danger and being a refugee. On February 18th, Justice Avi Yao Go ruled in favor of Ahmad, arguing that the RPD found inconsistencies were non-existent. Again, what about the whole returning 6 times to the place that he had to flee from? It makes you wonder if he wasn't actually perfectly safe and he just was trying to scam Canada. The judge added that the tribunal, quote, compounded this error by failing to consider a key precautionary measure that the applicant took against the religious extremists while in Pakistan, when Ahmed avoided going to a mosque. I mean, you. Oh boy. Oh boy. This country, the more I report on Canada, the more I learn about my country, the worse it gets, the closer that black pill gets to me. Boy, oh boy. I mean, it's just bafflingly stupid. It's maddening. Maddening. Yeah. All right. So anyway, immigration's not going great in Canada. What do we got here? Oh, here's a great one. Bruce McGonigal. A non-citizen seeking citizenship in Canada was busted for trying to solicit sex with a minor, and the judge let him off without a criminal record so he could retain his immigration status. We are being destroyed from within.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister said Canada's immigration system is under control. In the GTA, a man in his 30s arranged to pay $140 to sexually exploit a 15-year-old. That's my daughter's age. He was arrested with cash in hand, went to court, and because of his immigration status, will not even receive a criminal record.
Seriously?
How is that under control? When will the Prime Minister take responsibility and finally fire his immigration minister?
Since we've taken government, we've implemented many changes to the Criminal Code of Canada, making it, strengthening it, over 80 different changes to the code in C-14.
Yet nothing ever seems to get better, weirdly. So let's see. What's the pattern? Liberals have terrible policy, right? And it makes things worse. And then they get up in Parliament and say, no, everything's actually great and we're doing a great job. And they do that year after year after year after year, and Canadians keep voting them in. So why would they stop? It's a winning formula. You just make everything worse, but then you say that you're making things better, right? Apparently that's good enough for Canadian voters. Oh, well, I mean, they said it's all good. Let's see. What do we got here? Mark Nixon posted this. Bill C-3 extends citizenship eligibility to millions of descendants abroad, just handing out Canadian citizenship to people who've actually, like the children of people who've never even been in Canada. People who got their citizenship, immigrants who got their citizenship, moved, started a family somewhere else, all get Canadian citizenship. And it's super handy for when you need really expensive medical care.
Yesterday, the immigration minister couldn't get up in her chair and defend her record. She can't tell us how many rejected asylum seekers remain in Canada, or how many thousands of people came here without a proper security screening, or just the most basic answers about her job. Her signature bill, C-3, could give citizenship to millions of people abroad with the click of a button, and she has no details and no explanations. So I have a simple question for the minister. How many people under this piece of legislation become Canadian?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this has been not a good week for the Conservative Party of Canada. This has been a week where they put at question our constitutional, to say nothing of our humanitarian obligation to look after people who are sick or injured on our territory, including the children who are fleeing war zones, including in Ukraine.
What about people who aren't, who are fake refugees, right? And who've been denied, right? The refugee claim has been denied, right? Why do we have a responsibility to keep them here and give them deluxe health care that Canadians don't get? I can't listen to these people. I mean, it's just year after year after year. It's the same thing. These are the most cynical cretins in politics in the world, I guess. I mean, maybe. All right, hold on a second. I want to see if I can find something, because I did have something on C3. Hold on. In my bookmarks, let me see if I can find it. It's depressing listening to these people, right? It makes you hopeless, because it's just the same thing year after year, and it never, ever changes. Let's see. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm sure I've got a bookmark with lots of stuff on Bill C3 in here. I think we should pull it up. Just wait. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Where are you looking? No, look back at the TV. No, put that drink down. Put your phone down. Put your phone down. You're not going anywhere. Be right back in 1 second. Hold on. I'm just looking through thousands and thousands of bookmarks till I find the one that I want. And this won't take any longer than 15, 20, 35, 45 minutes for me to find this. And then at the end of that, I probably still won't find it. But one thing I can promise you is that this will be boring and it will take you a long time. But just wait. The best is yet to come. Here it is. No, it's not there. Here it is. It's coming up any second now. Just got to keep scrolling down through all of these. There's one, Mark Carney Globalist. It's not that one. Smith Muntak. No, it's not that. There's one, puppies. There's a whole bookmark just for puppies. Springfield. Where is it? It's not there. All right, hold on. Let's see. Bill C3. We'll see what comes up. I could have just done this right from the start. Let's see. So I just want to find, hold on. Bill C3, Canada. All right. See, I've done a video on it, but I just want to freshen up on the details here. Okay. Dominion Society of Canada, the Passport Pipeline Bill explained. Bill C3 extends citizenship to foreigners born abroad who have never set foot in Canada. So if you pop over from India and you become citizens who stay in Canada for 3 years, then you return to India, it won't matter where your kids are born. They will be Canadian citizens and their children will be, and so on. And they can all vote in our elections, receive benefits, and move to Canada at will. This is lunacy. So this feels like it's a part of the Century Initiative plan, the plan that Mark Carney's friend, Mark Wiseman, built a foundation to, or built an organization to promote, which is to get Canada's population up to 100 million people. So this is the lunacy that we're dealing with. I would say 99% of Canadians have no idea this is happening. No idea. And what this will do to Canada. Forget about healthcare. From this goes through, forget about healthcare in 5 years, right? We'll be completely overwhelmed because it will just be just a conveyor belt of people coming in to get medical care in Canada and then flying home again and contributing nothing. And voting for the party that will allow them to just come in and just extract from Canada and then leave again. This is lunacy. This is what people who hate you do to you, okay? Turn Canadian taxpayers into slaves for the world on purpose. What else is this, right? We're going to have to give these people benefits. They could just show up in Canada and collect welfare. Don't feel like working for a couple of years? Show up back in Canada. You're a citizen, right? All of a sudden, it turns out you need expensive health care. Just get on a plane. It's just the price of a ticket now. Fly to Canada. Now you're a citizen. Never been here before. Can't speak the language. Never paid anything into it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The liberals, will assure you that Canadians are not like those nasty Americans. We treat people who are ill in Canada, even if we're being totally ripped off and taken advantage of because we're stupid, because we're fucking moron progressives. Because this evil fucker here, right, sees political advantage in it. Let's hear that again.
Obligation to look after people who are sick or injured on our territory, including the children.
Or people who just can fly in to get treatment here for no reason. Oh, no, sorry, because you guys gave them citizenship that you shouldn't have, right? Just for political gain, for political expediency. So you could have a whole population in India voting for liberals in Canada so that they can preserve their free health care that they don't contribute to. This is how mad and insane this country is, right? This is woke dysfunction. This is the lunacy that people vote for. That said, the vast majority of people, I would say 99% of Carney voters, have no idea any of this is happening, any of the stuff that he's doing. Yeah, so anyway, it's not going great in Canada. Let's see. So, Kanwar Sira says Canada's removal inventory has exploded to a record 571,000 individuals. Let that number sink in. So that's how many people we need to get to leave Canada. Let's see. Record breakdown. Wanted. So criminals, 33,458. Removal in progress, 29,625. Removal not possible, 26,764. Why is it not possible? Let's see. No action required, 481,897. Look, listen, folks. None of the plan is to not remove these people, right? To keep as many of them in Canada as possible. Get them voting and get them voting for liberals. The last number alone tells the whole story. Nearly 500,000 people in the removal system with no action being taken. It's no longer a backlog, it's a systemic collapse. So when Mark Carney tells Canadians about how he's got immigration under control and we've cut blah, blah, blah by 1/3, no, he hasn't. They're all still here. The Liberal Party is pretending everything is under control. I guess not, though. I guess not. Again, what percentage of Liberal voters know this? Maybe 1%, under 1%. They don't give a shit. They don't care. It's all fashion. They just vote Liberal. That's just who they are. Of course, we've got Muslim rape gangs. The grooming gangs are now operating in Canada, so that's great. They do this everywhere they go. So 4 people arrested in GTA human trafficking investigation involving girls ranging from 11 to 14 years old. Thanks, liberals. Thanks, liberal voters who have no idea what's happening in their own country and seem to care even less. Let's see. We're paying $900 million now for asylum seekers for their health care. So that's great. That's great. All right. So let me go back to the chat for a second and then we'll move on. What are you guys talking about? I need a break. I think I need a palate cleanser after that. It's so disgusting. Izzy says, this is what happens when you teach generations to hate themselves for their skin color. Yeah. Not helpful. Izzy says, just wait until you get to the point of bending over for the black pill insertion. I still have hope that we can pull it together, but it's not a certainty. I'm not going to say it's a certainty. Like it's absolutely plausible that Canada breaks up into pieces, right? I mean, Carney is busy selling off the country for scraps right now. It's absolutely possible that happens. There's lots of countries that don't exist anymore, that have broken apart and don't exist anymore. Something that happens and mismanagement can cause that. Izzy says, I just want the deluxe health care and free handouts. I mean, if they have money to give away. Oh, wait, no, they don't. They're stealing it from my children. Yes, they're stealing it from grandchildren, great-grandchildren at this point. Izzy says, some might call it treason, but that's a technicality these days. If they're liberals. Nothing happens. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, this is why birthright citizenship is insane in any country. I agree with that 100%. Streamer says, you have anchor babies. You guys have this broken set of laws. Well, we're doing it. It's even worse what we're doing, right? You don't even have to have been born here or ever have been here to become a Canadian citizen. You're just automatically that, according to Bill C-3. It's lunacy. All right. Well, let's it's just depressing. It's depressing. Okay, hold on. Let's go to here. I need to cheer myself up. So let's find something fun. Let's see. How about this? This is good. You guys watch this. So Joe Rogan podcast news. So here's Sean Strickland and Theo Vaughn. Let's take a look.
Hey, you know what's weird about you, dude? Like sometimes, dude, you say some genius shit. I'm like, fuck, I scratch my head. And sometimes you say some shit where I'm like, this man's fucking So I haven't quite figured out, dude, if you're a genius or a little bit of both, made a little bit of Rain Man in you, you know?
Thanks, man.
Theo Vaughn is hilarious. He's just this kind of nice guy. He's such a nice guy. You know, it's like, oh, thanks.
And you know?
Thanks, man.
You know, one more time.
Hey, you know what's weird about you, dude? Like sometimes, dude, you say some genius shit. I'm like, fuck, I scratch my head. And sometimes you say some shit where I'm like, this man's fucking So I haven't quite figured out, dude, if you're a genius or a little bit of both, made a little bit of Rain Man in you, you know?
Thanks, man.
Oh, man, that's good. That hits the spot. All right, let's move on. Let's go. So I want to show some Pierre Poilievre stuff now. Then we're going to get to, we've got other non-Canadian politics stuff coming up after this, but we got one more thing we got to do here. All right. All right. Cosmin Zerdza posted this. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre opens his pitch to regain Canada's economic leverage by quoting Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius. So this is kind of a reset from Pierre Poilievre. He's not saying anything that he hasn't said before in this speech, but he's kind of organized it and reframed it in a way that I think is more effective. And I think quoting Marcus Aurelius, he is definitely one-upping Carney in his Davos speech, but quoting Marcus Aurelius and, and appealing for a Stoic approach is what I've been appealing for, for the last year. Let's not go elbows up. Let's not get hysterical and have a moral panic, right? And have a hissy fit, a constant hissy fit. I've always thought the best approach would be, we're not going to do this, fight this out in public. We're just going to try and get the best deal for both sides. That would have been the way to approach it, right? And even if that doesn't work, at least you keep your dignity and you don't make it worse. And by the way, the tariffs are worse since the tariffs have gotten worse under Mark Carney, not better. Anyway, let's take a look here.
Nearly 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius delivered a timeless truth. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will have strength. That idea is true not only for people, but also for countries. Canada cannot control decisions made by foreign leaders or words by foreign presidents. We cannot control what global shocks and volatility might happen. But we do control what we do in our own country. We control whether our economy is solid or fragile, whether it is dependent or self-reliant, whether we drift or whether we build. And the lesson in this moment is simple. The path to sovereignty is focusing relentlessly on what is within our power. Canada itself was born from this insight. Ours is a country not built by accident. Confederation was a conscious act of national self-determination, a decision by scattered provinces to unite, to build, to govern themselves rather than to be swallowed up by American annexation. And it wasn't all talk. Yes, the founders met. Yes, they debated. Yes, they agreed. But above all else, they got things done.
See, this is my preferred approach, right? This seems like a realistic, pragmatic approach and a stoic approach. This is not, let's whip the country up into a, hysterical, childish tantrum, which is what Elbows Up was. And that was its intent, by the way. Its intent was to manipulate Canadians emotionally. And too many of them were all too happy to embarrass themselves with their tantrums, and still are, as we saw with the reaction to Team USA winning the hockey game, the Olympic hockey game. Now, let's go to Marcus Aurelius here. Hold on a second. So, Roman Emperor. Hold on a second. I've got something here. I think it's way down. I had something highlighted. Where is it? Did it just remove the highlights on its own? Hold on. Where is it? Where did you go? I had some stuff highlighted on here, and it seems to have disappeared. Oh, God damn it. All right, hold on. I took time to highlight some stuff, and it seems to have disappeared. All right, hold on. Where's the... All right, primaries. God damn it. All right, hold on. Philosophical. Here we go. That's where it went. Is it up or down? Oh, is it up or down? It's up. There we go. All right. One more. Okay. Core Stoic themes and first principles reasoning. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations articulates the Stoic dichotomy of control as a foundational principle, positing that individuals possess agency solely over their own rational judgments, intentions, and voluntary actions, while external circumstances such as health, wealth, or others' behaviors remain indifferent to virtue and beyond direct causal influence. As he states, quote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Here's another quote. "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." All right. And this is the Stoic philosophy, which has helped many people, myself included. It definitely helped me to quit drinking, right? You can control what's happening in your own mind. You can't control the rest of the world. Right? And this is a good way to see the world and to regulate your own behavior. Just because somebody makes a joke about, governor of Canada or 51st state or something like that, it doesn't mean you have to try and one-up them, right? Especially when it's something as important as the economy of your country and the lives of the citizens of your country. I think that requires maybe a bit more self-control. Again, maybe not the best idea to try and stir up a moral panic and have the entire population running around like hysterical toddlers. How about this? On duty, but from Marcus Aurelius. "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Be one. I think this is central to Pierre Poilievre's message here. Why he's quoting Marcus Aurelius. He's saying it's time for us to be adults, right? Not have hissy fits, right? Not be reactive, okay? Again, stop being first order thinkers, with a complete, stop catering to, the elbows up instant gratification. It's time to ask, well, what next? What do we do next? Right? I mean, this is kind of key to success in life, right? Is not just looking at the surface detail. It's like, what's next? What's after that, right? It's called planning. Planning. And I really like this tone from Pierre, and this certainly, I think, makes him seem very prime ministerial. And it is a stark contrast to what we've gotten from Mark Carney, which is the world is ruptured and everything's over, and Canada is going to lead some fantastical middle power revolt against the United States, and Canada is somehow now the leader of the free world. I mean, none of this is true. Canada is not respected around the world, including by the middle powers. Canada is seen as a joke and a cautionary tale. None of that is true, right? That's all just fabulism. I prefer this, realism and stoicism, and okay, let's just calm down, realize what we can accomplish, and try and accomplish that.
Nearly 2,000.
Let's take a look at this. So, this is posted by CBC Watcher. And here he talks about Trump and, talking about, all right, let me just play it for you.
What President Trump says about Canada is wrong. Our trade surplus does not represent exploitation by Canada of the United States of America. Quite the opposite, in fact. It is the result of us selling very good and very well-priced, in fact, below market-priced raw materials, which America then upgrades and turns into massive profits for its economy. Ironically, U.S. workers gain six-figure salaries, turning our raw meat material into profit to their country, and they owe a big debt of gratitude to politicians and bureaucrats in Canada who have blocked us from building the necessary infrastructure to take those resources to world markets. He's also wrong to ignore the sacrifices Canada has made for the United States. Canadians fought and died along Americans in Afghanistan. And let's be clear, we did that exclusively in response to an attack on our American neighbors. We also fought and bled along America, not just in the trenches of Western Europe, but in Alaska's Aleutian Islands, defending American territory in the Second World War. And of course, we joined rapidly to fight communism in Korea, and in countless other ways, our cooperation, whether it's NORAD or our efforts to secure the Arctic, have been beneficial to both countries. And let's be clear about another thing. The president's talk of 51st statehood, whether it is a joke or not, is unacceptable. It goes without saying there is zero chance of Canada ever being a part of the United States. We love our country. We love our country just as Americans, understandably and justifiably, love their country too.
This is where it departs from the Cardi message, right? Because, but let's continue.
And that's why so many Canadians are upset by the president's comments and trade actions, especially considering that Canada and the United States will always be neighbors. Geography is the most permanent factor in international relations. No country can call up a realtor and relocate. And the truth is, we wouldn't want to. Canada and the United States have built probably the greatest partnership any two countries have ever built in the history of the world. That partnership remains profoundly in the interests of both our peoples and both our countries. And it's important to distinguish between governments and people. Politicians come and go. People remain. The miner in Appalachia the energy worker in Texas, the engineer in California, they do not wake up every day asking how they can stick it to the Canadians. That's just the reality. The American people are not our adversaries. In fact, survey results demonstrate that Americans overwhelmingly have a favorable view of Canada and consider our two nations to be friends. That goodwill, by the way, may be our most important strategic strength going into these talks. As President Kennedy said when he was addressing the Canadian Parliament, geography has made us neighbors. History has made us friends. Economics has made us partners. Necessity has made us allies. Those whom nature hath so joined together, let no man put asunder. That insight captures a reality deeper than any temporary dispute. Canada's prosperity and security are inseparable from a stable relationship with the United States. And that is why we should not declare a permanent rupture with our biggest customer and closest neighbor in favor of a strategic partnership for a new world order with Beijing, a regime.
So this is, I mean, it's so refreshing just to hear sanity, right? And again, a stoic approach to this, an adult approach to this, not just an appeal to emotion, right? Trying to rile up the country into some elbows up, childish tantrum. This is the difference between him and Carney, obviously, right? This isn't framed as an attack on the United States. This is saying, look, our interests are the same, right? Our interests are enmeshed, all right? When we wake up in the morning, Canada's still going to be right next to the United States, the largest economy in the world. And we need it. And they also benefit from this relationship as well. Both sides benefit. Let's work something out, right? No fanciful, no fabulism about Canada leading the free world in a revolt against the United States. That's absurd. And certainly it's total, utter lunatic folly to run into the arms of the Chinese dictatorship. That's insanity. So these are just the words of an adult, right? Of a leader who actually cares about the well-being of Canadians. Right, and wants to find a pragmatic solution. Again, not fanciful solutions that are just absurd on their face. Talking about ruptures, permanent ruptures, and the relationship will never beat again. You understand that, presidents aren't presidents for life, Mark Carney. Do you understand that? Well, of course he knows that. But his goals, as Canada's and the United States goals really should be aligning for each other's benefit, that is just makes so much sense, and it always has. Mark Carney's goals do not align with those of the Canadian people, and Canadians have been tricked into thinking that they do by a totally and utterly captured media. Hopefully this message resonates. We shall see. And if it resonates, it's because he's treating Canadians like adults instead of like toddlers, spoiled toddlers, which is what Carney does. All right, what have we got here? All right, so Poilievre urges for a tariff-free auto pact with the U.S. So, of course, that's obviously the goal that we should be going for. Whether that's possible or not, I don't know. But with Poilievre's approach, I believe we'd be far closer to getting it than Carney's weird babblings about ruptures and Canada leading some revolt against the United States.
And today, I am proposing that Conservatives will fight for a tariff-free auto pact with the United States, with shared protections against Chinese imports. In short, here's the deal. We should agree to keep Chinese vehicles out if Americans agree to let Canadian vehicles in. a full exemption to Buy America rules so that our companies compete on construction projects, and a relaunch of the Keystone XL pipeline. And today, I am proposing.
So even if he can't get everything that he wants out of that, getting some of it at least would be better than giving access to China for Chinese EVs. I mean, that's certainly not good for the Canadian auto industry. But it's a bipartisan issue in the United States as well. It doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican, right? They don't want Chinese EVs anywhere near them, actually. They don't want them. They certainly are not going to allow Chinese EVs to be driven over the border from Canada to the U.S. This is going to be a big problem, regardless of what party is in power in the States. Again, it's just this is a pragmatic approach, a more stoic approach than, hey, everybody become hysterical and have hissy fits and freak out because we lost a hockey game. Mark Nixon, Pierre Poilievre just delivered a powerful speech in Toronto. So yeah, this is not a speech based on fear, right? This is a speech based on pragmatism.
Nearly 2,000.
Oh, no, we already saw that. All right, hold on. That was the Marcus Aurelius. All right. So this was posted by Jasmine Lane. She's saying that Pierre Poilievre dismantled the reality behind Mark Carney's Davos speech. Well, Mark Carney's Davos speech was, I guess, just a childish story, like a fairy tale for credulous people about Canada leading some middle power revolt against the U.S. Let's take a look.
Engagement. Conservatives stand in favor of a free trade agreement with India and deeper ties with other countries. But diversification must be grounded in realism. Not all partners are interchangeable. The Prime Minister proclaimed in the Davos speech that he wanted a new middle power alliance. Actually, there's nothing new about it at all. We already have that. We've had it for years. In fact, Canada already has free trade with over 50 other countries, and most of them are middle powers. We should look to deepen those relationships, but their markets are already open to us. But the problem, here's the problem, and here's the irony. The problem is not that these countries block our products from coming in. It's that our own government blocks our products from getting out. And that is the major trade barrier. Signing meaningless communiques or more stagecraft masquerading as statecraft won't fix that reality. In fact, some of the worst tariffs imposed on Canada today are those imposed by the government here. Slow permits, changing rules, high taxes, outright bans on shipping oil off our northwest BC coast. We have the second slowest building permits anywhere in the OECD. It now takes 19 years to get a mine approved. None of that has changed in the last year. On doit retirer les tarifs.
Yeah, and all we get from Carney is just these, these fantasies, right? These kind of appeals to emotion. What Canada is and ruptures, and we're going to lead the world in a revolt against Canada is apparently the free leader of the free world now, according to Carney. None of this is true. Mark Carney is willing to say literally anything to gain control, full control over Canada's economy. He's willing to say anything to get a majority in this country so that he can have full control over Canada's wealth and use it in the furtherance of his net zero schemes. That's what's happening here. That's what Mark Carney is after. He wants to max out the national credit card to pour subsidies into his net zero schemes that are, of course, all connected to Brookfield. Don't forget, Mark Carney was the UN climate finance envoy. He's the global point man for this stuff, okay? His global climate finance banking alliance collapsed shortly before he became prime minister. That's why he's prime minister. Okay, he's going to use Canada to save his net zero schemes. And when he's done, he will just fly off to whatever castle he's going to live in Europe, in Switzerland or Luxembourg or who knows where, right? And he'll never come back again. I prefer what we're hearing from Pierre Poilievre, which is just pragmatic solutions that will actually help Canadians and not destroy our country economically for generations to come. Let's see. All right, I think that's everything we needed there. And I wanted to show you, hold on. I wanted to show you this. So Pierre Poilievre put this out. The Conservative plan for a strong and self-reliant Canada with unbreakable leverage abroad. So, is there anything about this? Is there anything in this about Canada leading a revolt of the world middle powers? I don't think that there is. Let's see. Number one, abundant, low-cost energy. Well, that's pragmatic because energy is your economy. All right. Why is Germany in the process of deindustrializing? Because they don't have cheap energy anymore. It's their own fault as well. It's net zero choices that they made, actually. Without abundant, low-cost energy, you don't have an economy. Eliminate all carbon taxes. I mean, that's just a gimme right there. Right? Eliminate all carbon taxes. That's a no-brainer. Permit rapid oil and gas and electricity projects. Yes, cancel EV rebates. Anything EV should just be gone. With no time or money should be wasted on this any longer. Canadians don't want them, or there's not enough Canadians that want them. Guess what? Canada is really, the vast majority of Canada is really cold during the winter. They don't work great in that. Take sales tax off made in Canada vehicles. Great. You could save a lot of money that way. And that would be a real incentive for people to buy cars. Unblock resources and home building. Grant 6-month approval times. Adopt a one project, one approval rule. Establish a strategic energy and mineral reserve. Rapidly permit a new pipeline to the Pacific. Repeal anti-development laws. Just no-brainers there. We can't afford the luxury stuff anymore. Strong military. Strong military. When Pierre Poilievre talks about military spending, he's not talking about, when Pierre Poilievre is talking about the military, he's talking about making sure every dollar goes towards operational readiness, as opposed to what we get with the Liberals, which is, well, we'll have to build a new a DEI bureaucracy. The last thing they're thinking about, apparently, is operational readiness. It's woke. The Canadian military now is fully captured by the woke mind virus. So Pierre Poilievre will end that and use money on things that should be spent on an army. Let's see. Digital sovereignty. Increase commercialization of Canadian developed technologies by 50% over the next decade. Require anyone who offshores taxpayer-subsidized intellectual property to repay the public contribution. Great. Allow venture capitalists to roll over their gains tax-free into developing, commercializing, and deploying this technology in Canada. Ban foreign takeovers of sensitive intellectual property, data, weapons, and other vital tools of survival in modern crises. So, these are all just pragmatic, good things that you can just do, right? These are not pie in this. This is not pie in the sky stuff. Certainly with, industry, it's all just tried and true, proven stuff. It's not experimental. All right. All right. Let's go back to the chat for a second. What are we, 2 hours in already? Jeez, I thought it was going to be a short one tonight. Let's see. What are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? Let's see. Go back. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. You guys are talking about repairing tablets. Radio streamer says, we have anchor babies. You guys have this broken set of laws. Everything has been captured by the mind virus in Canada. Everything is woke dysfunction. Izzy says broken laws and corruption in the system. Yep. All right, Rosie's back in the chat. Good thing I'm rejoining right now. Everyone has control and responsibility for themselves, but I must say, after decades, I am on the verge of fixing my husband. Well, good for you. And for your husband, condolences. Let's see. All right, I'm going to skip down the chat a bit. Izzy says, Carney just lies with a cheap smile. Yep. He's as slimy as they come. Nevada says, I'm just going to take Greenland pretty soon. Getting tired of waiting. Go for it. Sure, the rest of the chat will help you out. You just got to find a boat, I guess. Let's see. I guess you could fly in and just take it over. Just announce yourself. Let's see. Izzy says he tried to use Canada to create his net zero Ponzi scheme. So Carney's net zero. So Carney was the point man, the globalist point man for net zero climate finance. All right. So he was on the board of Stripe, which is the I guess the portal for all of the carbon credits. So an enormous amount of money to be made for carbon credits, which is really just making money out of thin air. Really, it's a super scam. But he was the UN climate finance envoy. So he was the globalist point man, right? For climate finance. He's got his fund with Brookfield. And it was all falling apart, starting to fall apart. His banking alliance that he'd put together, even the Canadian banks dropped out of it. This is before he became prime minister or announced that he wanted to be prime minister. It was pretty much right around that time he decided that he wanted to be prime minister. He decided to use Canada to save his global climate finance schemes. All right? Because the net zero stuff doesn't make money. It can only exist with subsidies. So now he's got control of the finances of a country. That's where your money, Canadians, that's where your money is going. It's going to feed his net zero finance schemes. Okay, that's why the deficit is double what it was going to be under Trudeau. Under Trudeau, it's twice as bad as what Trudeau had planned. And it's going to get worse. If he gets a majority, he's going to max out the national credit card. Okay, it's going to get really bad. Let's see. Rosie says, I find this woman somewhat disconcerting. Something about her seems inauthentic. Maybe she should have platinum jewelry instead of gold. I don't know. I think she seems pretty authentic. Let's see. I mean, it's just simply an instructional sanding class. Let's see. All right. Well, let's get to it. Gender ideology. So, Billboard Chris posted this. Evolutionary biologist Colin Wright takes a psychologist to school. This is why men can't be women. All right. He's going to explain why. Hold on. He's going to explain to this woke psychologist why women are women and men are men, right? Like what he's going to describe what, a sexually reproducing species is. And let me see if I can make this a bit bigger. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let's take a look. Here we go. And the guy, this is Colin Wright here, the evolutionary biologist. And of course, the guy that he's talking to refuses to learn, but this is worth watching just to have as ammunition in case you're talking to a lunatic.
This is why men can't be women.
Your sex is something that you're born with that lasts through your entire life. And there's two sexes.
Oh, that's biologically wrong. Say that again. Can you come a little? That's biologically wrong.
I disagree with that.
They're intersex people. What about them?
Okay, so just so you know, he's a evolutionary biologist, and he's an expert on all of these subjects.
I'm a psychologist.
Okay.
It's now in medicine clearly that there are more sex. Okay, so how do you respond to the fact that there are more than two sexes?
People who have a so-called intersex condition, this is defined by people who at birth appear sexually ambiguous in some way, or might appear as the opposite sex at birth. But the appearance of sexual ambiguity, this is not a third sex in and of itself. So the sexes, male and female, they're defined reproductively by the type of gamete, either sperm or ova, that an individual has the function to produce. So this isn't just humans, this is across all animals in nature.
Why don't you define sex and let's have you define sex? Why don't you define sex? I personally define sex, well, either on chromosome, hormone, or the appearance. Okay.
So this is the guy who said that, no, it's clear in medicine that there's more than two sexes. So this is why he thinks so. Let's continue.
Do you agree with that?
No, not a little.
Tell him why you disagree.
Well, because there are plenty of animals in the animal kingdom that don't determine their sex by chromosomes. So you can look at something like alligators or turtles. They don't have sex chromosomes, but they still have a clearly definable sex based on whether they have the function to produce sperm or ova. There's plenty of other animals in nature that don't have testosterone or estrogen. They don't have different hormonal mixtures, and we can still identify them as being male or female because of the type of gamete they have the function to produce. That's the universal definition of what it means to be male or female.
Is what
humans is. So it's a reproductive strategy based on the type of gamete that an individual has the function to produce. That's what a sex is. Males are defined as the sex that produces small gametes or sperm. Females are the sex that has the function to produce large gametes or eggs. And that's a universal definition across every species that has males or females.
Someone is not producing sperm, it's not a male.
That's not what he said.
No, they have to have the function to produce it. So if they have the primary sexual anatomy to produce testicles, this is what they have. This is how we identify alligators' sex. This is how we identify human sex. This is how we identify bats and fish and all that. It has to do with their primary sex organs.
So, and if the function is not developed?
So you can have a function without being functional. So if you think like, what is the function of a car? It's to take me from point A to point B. Your car can still break down, but it still has a function. It's still a car. It's not, doesn't cease to be a car because it's broken. So we can still identify based on the, the type of gonadal tissue that an individual has, what the sex would be under normal circumstances, like what type of gamete they would produce.
Well, yeah, I disagree.
So no, you pause for thought. No. Oh, well, that does give me something to think about. Maybe I should reconsider. Not even like, well, I'm not sure if I agree, but maybe I have to do some. No, just no, I disagree. I disagree. This is what you call the woke mind virus here. And I'm not being facetious when I say that people like this, whose brains have been taken over by an idea pathogen, totally parasitized by an idea pathogen, they've lost all agency. They've lost free will. They simply are now slaves of the idea pathogen in their brain, right? They just live to propagate the pathogen. Nothing will convince this guy. Nothing, right? And he'll keep saying, I'm an expert because I'm a psychologist. I'm somehow an expert on biology because I'm a psychologist. He'll keep doing it. Nothing will affect him. It doesn't matter anymore. It's just spreading the virus, the mind virus, to more vulnerable people. And it's unfortunate, but you can see this guy, there's no question. Nope, that did nothing. None of that affected him in the slightest. None of that reality. Totally impervious to reality. And that's just, it's very, very sad. But you have to realize there are some people that just, they're just done. They're just done. Nothing will change their mind. The idea pathogen is just too powerful for them. They're overwhelmed. Let's see. What do we got next here? Oh, no, we can move on. All right, let's move on to the next thing. What do we got here? So, Andy No posted this. And we hear a lot of things about Portland, Oregon, like it's a terrible place. I was there, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. It was not that bad. I was just there like overnight, just there for like, I think a day or two. And it was not like this at that point. It seems to have gotten much, much worse. A KATU news crew walked around downtown to see how things had improved and was immediately threatened with violence. So this is what happens when you turn your town over to revolutionary communists.
After we were done shadowing, we walked around the area listening to people. As we walked around North Park blocks, one man threatened to break our camera, so we left the area. We made our way across the street to cart blocks. We were trying to check in on the food carts.
Love is life and life is living with things that are trying to be awesome. Yeah.
That's when a man approached our camera and started acting erratically.
I see your big black sack.
A woman also started to yell and followed us to our car. Clearly, there's still issues with this area of downtown. After we were done shadowing, we walked around the area.
So this isn't, radical progressivism, leftism, whatever, socialism gone wrong. This is actually a fine result for them. This is what it's supposed to be, right? Hey, there's more homeless people. There's more advocacy jobs, I guess, right? Hey, there's more oppression for us to protest against. This doesn't bother them at all. This is fine. They just say, no, well, I mean, the solution to the problems that we caused is more of the thing that caused the problems. They're fine with it. This is the weird fantasy world that they live in. For the real true believers, nothing will change their minds. In fact, for the true believers, there's nothing wrong with this, actually. Nothing wrong with it. Let's see. What's going on here? So, from Wall Street Apes, Democrat Rep. Maxine Dexter says putting white milk in schools is white supremacy. White supremacy. Well, it's white. Let's see. And white supremacy is white. So I guess everything white must be white supremacy. Let's take a look.
Please ask for the science-based regimens, not whatever are
science-based regimens, you say? Okay. Well, I guess the next thing you're going to say is going to be science-based. Let's check it out.
RFK Jr. is getting kickbacks on, or whatever whole milk, white supremacy, dog whistling that's happening right now. I'm getting a little too political, but please.
Oh, a little too political. Let's see, by saying that milk is white supremacy. Ask the science-based regiments, not whole milk, white supremacy dog whistling. Okay. She says RFK Jr. wanting white milk in schools is racist. Racist. This is the Democratic Party. This is the modern left. This is the mind virus at work. Let's see. What's going on here? The troubling link between milk and racism. GW Law. GW Law. Bioethics Today is the recent effort to glorify whole milk tainted by racism. Let's see. UOW Open Access Journals. White power milk, dietary racism, and the alt-right. It just goes on and on. Look, New York Times. Why white supremacists are chugging milk. Look at this. Oh, hold on a second. I've got a special trick for this. Let's see. Oh, Hold on. Give me 1 second, you guys. Here we go. Oh. Hold on. No, give me 1 more second. One more time. Okay. Happy. Okay. Be 2 seconds. I've got a special trick that works. And we are almost there. And here we go. The New York Times. Thank God for the New York Times. We wouldn't know what was happening in the world of milk, white milk supremacy, if it weren't for the New York Times. Why white supremacists are chugging milk and why geneticists are alarmed. The white supremacists. I mean, you really can't make this up. It's just so utterly ridiculous and bizarre. All right. Yeah. So anyway, that's a warning. That's a warning to all of you about white milk. This is real. Let's see. At the State of the Union, they refused to stand up for American citizens over illegal aliens. I mean, how does anybody vote for this? Certainly without the massive media machine constantly, with their tsunamis, their just daily tsunami of propaganda, people wouldn't. Of course they wouldn't, because this stuff is crazy. These people are crazy. All right, what else we got here? Wookmind virus. I already did that. Okay, let's move on. New York. It's not going great in New York, it turns out. New York City residents are angry about mosques blasting the Islamic call to prayer over loudspeakers. This is from Pecan, calling it disruptive and intrusive. Well, it is exactly that, isn't it? Muslims defend it as protected religious freedom and cultural expression. I don't know. I've kind of got a feeling that if Christians were blaring out their sermons 6 times a day through loudspeakers onto the street, Zoran might have a problem with it. However, so Islamic call to prayer blasted over loudspeakers in New York City. We are taking over. How about that? A former Muslim says it's about political dominance. It has nothing to do with freedom of religion. It is projecting dominance. Muslims don't need it, but political Islam needs it. Yeah, this is the same thing with blocking roads to pray, especially when it's in front of a church, or blocking an aisle on an airplane to pray. I mean, these are all kind of provocations, I would say. Oh, God. Unbelievable. New York is screwed. All right, let's move on. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Okay. Actually, let me check, see if there's an ad for me to read first. Nope, it's not going to let me read an ad, apparently, for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, well, never mind. Where were we? So here we are. What is this? Oh, so here's Ben Mulroney, and this was posted by Gen Xer, and this is Ben Mulroney, and the son of former Prime Minister Mulroney, and here he's talking about just the wokeness in Canada, the endless wokeness that we find in Canada. Let's take a look, and hold on 1 second. Hold on. I just want to see if I can make this a little bit smaller. Having trouble adjusting these things. Let's take a look.
So now they want people to use they, them as part of an inclusion initiative that also promotes gender-neutral language like sibling instead of brother or sister. Okay, I have to say this, right? So I saw this video of 2 trans clothing designers, and they were livid that Zara still had men's and women's fashion categories. So I'm told that the raw numbers are like, why do people obsess over the trans community that only represents less than 1% of the population? right? That's what I'm told, right? Why do you care? Less than 1% of the population. Well, it's because in certain examples, that less than 1% wants to change everything for the 99%. And as somebody said, it's sort of like outlawing 5-fingered gloves because some people are born without pinkies. You got to pick a lane. It's either so small of a thing that nobody should care because everyone just wants to live their life, or you're coming to reinvent society and you want to get rid of men's clothing and women's clothing. And we can't say sibling, we can't say brother and sister anymore because those aren't inclusive, even though they are inclusive of 99% of the people. That's the definition of inclusive. I'm sorry. I'm not going to live in a world where I'm going to change every word I use. And because I don't, I'm intolerant. Absolutely not. I will not play that game. And that's Ben Mulroney's inclusive take of the day.
Of course he's right. I mean, I think it's unbelievably appalling that we're being asked to change the English language itself to cater to delusions, to cater to the redefinition of the word gender into an infinite series of abstractions, right? Just a fantasy world, just metaphysics, alchemy, right? Change the actual language for the sake of, quite frankly, delusional people. I mean, that is not healthy. That's dysfunction. That is deep, deep dysfunction. That is woke dysfunction right there. It gets into literally everything. We're seeing it on a daily basis in Canada now. I mean, just a few days ago, a guy was fined $750,000 for believing in biologic reality. Right? Literally told in the ruling by the Human Rights Tribunal, the kangaroo court in Canada, the kangaroo courts in Canada, leftist kangaroo courts, that not actually believing in somebody's gender identity, not believing that it's real. So if you have a male who says that they're a female, if you say you don't believe they're actually a female, okay, that is bigotry. So it's not enough to say, I believe that person believes that they're a woman. That's not good enough. You have to actually betray your own conscience, hand dominion of your own conscience over to some delusional person, or else you're going to be punished in Canada. In this case, $750,000. This is a guy who lives in a trailer, doesn't have any money. And they know that. They're trying to make an example out of him. This is just normal in Canada now, right? Canada has become a cautionary tale. Hope the rest of the world is paying attention to save themselves a lot of trouble. Let's see. How about this? Talk about dysfunction in Canada. British comedy elder John Cleese has announced that he will be steering clear of British Columbia on an upcoming Canadian tour, owing to fears that he will be prosecuted for non-adherence to gender ideology. Okay, John Cleese will not come to British Columbia because he's worried that the lunatics here will drag him into a human rights tribunal for telling a joke. I mean, that is the state of Canada right now, the pathetic state of Canada. It's just like a daily thing now. David Creighton. I grew up in BC. The province has become a woke state of despair where your property rights can be stolen by any First Nations chief who demands your backyard and you don't possess the free speech to criticize any of it. Deny gender ideology and a kangaroo court will try to seize your life savings. This is Canada now. It's a cautionary tale. These are Canadian values, as Mark Carney tells us. How do you like these new Canadian values? How do you like them? I don't like them. They're not my values. I don't care what Mark Carney says. Let's see. All right. So that's enough. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Anybody watching on YouTube, by the way, go to my second channel, Radio Baloney News. That's where all the U.S. news, world news, Rokabayan virus, meme reviews, all this great stuff down here. You got to go to Radio Baloney News to get it. Now, I'm already transitioning some of the Canadian stuff over there as well. This channel is for live streams and Canadian news right now. I will probably abandon this channel eventually because it's very clear that it's just been red flagged and the suppression will never end. I'm already starting to migrate a little bit of the Canadian stuff over to the new channel as well. Please go there and subscribe. Eventually, this channel will probably just get shut down, the one you're on right now. Let's go to the chat. Rosie says churches should ring bells every hour on the hour. They should, but then they wouldn't be able to, though, you see, because that would be white supremacy. As he asks, when do we need to start using comrade instead of, oh, wait a second, that's the wrong thing there. Let's make this a little bit smaller, too. There. All right. When do we need to start using comrade instead of names or pronouns? Just everybody's comrade. Probably next year. If Carney gets a majority, it'll be double plus good. I know. That's what I'm going to say too. I'll ask, how do you like the new? Oh, hold on. How do you like? What will Canada be? Airstrip 2, maybe. How do you like Airstrip 2? Double plus good. Let's see. Trudeau survivor. Is John Cleese not going to BC a win for the wackos? Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they probably would see it that way, right? But it's just hopefully normal people who don't think that John Cleese is a fascist will see this stuff, and eventually enough of it will they'll collect enough of it in their collective consciousness and go, okay, yeah, everything's crazy now. Yeah, we need to change course. As he says, he's welcome on this side of the mountains. Yep. All right. Where was I? Where were we? What were we doing? All right, we don't need that. Let's go to... So here's Jamil Giovanni, and conservative MP in Canada. I'm a big fan of him. He doesn't mess around, and he's a very committed anti-communist, which is really needed in these times. We need to be calling out the left for what it actually is now, and it's a bunch of communists, right? There is the policies they support. There's people that support policies which are just Marxist, and they don't even realize that. Let's take a look.
What more could we be doing for our own people? And it is my belief that that is what all politicians should do. It is my belief that's what the media should do also. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So let's take a practical example. The government of Canada announced they were going to accelerate $8 million in addition to other supports to the government of Cuba as a response to Cuba's so-called crisis of what's going on right now. And I say so-called because it's a communist government. I don't know what to believe what they say is going on over there. Forgive me, I don't trust communists that much. I'm weird like that. So they say, the government of Canada does, the Mark Carney government, his foreign affairs minister, Anita Anand, that they're going to accelerate $8 million in aid to Cuba. Now, while they're doing that, there are a lot of things I could think of $8 million being able to do for the Canadian people. And yet the way this is framed so that you don't think about it as a choice between money exiting our borders versus money being used to the benefit of Canadian workers and businesses is the media has framed this as a response to the United States. And I want to share with you some of the news headlines so you understand what I mean. This from CTV. As the United States squeezes Cuba, Canada readies aid package. Global news. Cuba's ambassador says the United States is suffocating people. Associated Press. Canada prepares aid package for Cuba as it faces fuel shortages worsened by U.S. oil embargo. So the media has framed this decision by the Carney government as if it is a rebellion or a resistance act, a protest to the U.S. government. But I would say this is actually something that we should be comparing to what we could be doing with that money at home.
Well, also, too, just as in terms of diplomatically, it's insane, right? I've been saying all along for the last year that Carney does not want to solve the trade issues of the United States. That's why he keeps putting a stick in Trump's eye, right? With the whole Palestine thing, for instance, and, okaying Doug Ford's idiotic Reagan ad down in the States. He doesn't want a deal, right? So in a sane world, you'd look at this and go, obviously, this does not align with our interests, clearly, right? But for Mark Carney's world, he's not concerned with fixing trade, fixing the relationship with the United States. He wants it to get worse for his own purposes. This makes perfect sense if you're trying to hurt the relationship further. What I would like to know is, okay, $8 million, which, by the way, that's just going straight to the regime, right? And if they send pallets of food, that's going to go straight to the regime as well to dole out as they see fit to, security, state, bureaucrats, whatever. But there's somebody else they could ask to throw in a few bucks. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Let's see. Here we go. So there's somebody else that maybe could help. Let's see. Fidel Castro's grandson flaunts his wealth on social media. So there he is on his yacht. Let's see. Photos of young people living it up and flaunting their material trappings are nothing new on social media, except when it's the grandson of Fidel Castro, the late Cuban communist leader. Tony Castro, who's in his early 20s and is a spitting image of his grandfather, has been posting photos of his private Instagram account, showing off his BMW, meals at fancy restaurants around the world, and luxuriating aboard a yacht. Let's see. Apparently, it's not sitting well with the Cubans who live on an average salary of $30 a month while food is rationed. So billions of dollars were stolen by Castro. Obviously, his son's enjoying that. Maybe they should ask the Castro family to kick in a few million, because they've got it. Why not? But, Canada is retarded, so we're just going to do the stupidest possible thing. Thanks. Yeah, and I think that maybe $8 million could go to help some Canadians, perhaps, because Canada, apparently, Canadian voters are determined to turn Canada into Cuba, just a much larger Cuba. All right. The country's mad. Don't be Canada. Let's see. Stephen Bunk posted this. Moose Mountain MP, conservative. What would you do with $260,000? Would you give it to CBC executives for acting classes so they can spin answers to simple questions in the most complicated way possible? Well, why would they want to do that? It's so that you don't actually have to answer the question. So they're they're spending $260,000 to give special training, consultants to give special training for CBC executives to basically lie in committee, to lie to the Canadian people. Wow. Let's take a look.
Well, I've got bad news. The Liberal government is once again wasting your money. Today, we're going to talk about parliamentary committees. They perform a vital function in the operation of government. It's where parliamentarians like myself get the opportunity to ask questions of the government when it comes to expenditures or if we want to make amendments to bills. And part of that is where we get to call witnesses. For example, we had a witness come forward at Agriculture Committee, and I asked him a very simple question about if the government's imaginary taxes actually have an effect on the bottom line of producers in Canada.
Do you think that Livestock Mandatory Reporting Act, like they had in the United States, would be useful in Canada? Because we had something similar that's been discontinued.
So I think it would be very useful. I know we had it in the past through CanFax.
I asked a simple question. He gave a very simple answer, but that's not the way it often is.
Hysteria, it refers to something that is wildly emotional. It comes from the Greek word womb, of the womb.
She's got notes. She's got notes.
And sometimes we ask very direct questions, and we get these answers where we're like, what on earth are you talking about?
I hope you'll forgive me if I get emotional.
No, you're not forgiven. Actually, it's unforgivable, inexcusable.
Climate emergencies are not gender neutral. The degradation of ecosystems disproportionately impacts women and girls. And I am wildly emotional.
So I'm a businessman and a conservative. And it got me thinking, is someone paying to coach these people? Because normal people don't talk like this.
Well, I actually would put a response on error. I think error is a natural part of all journalism.
So I put in an order paper question. I was curious if the government had been paying to train witnesses and how much is it costing the taxpayer? And you will not believe what I found. The government spent $263,000 coaching witnesses, often government employees, on how to answer simple questions in the most complicated way possible. Get a load of some of these numbers here. The Department of Finance, $38,000. The Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions, $27,000. The RCMP, $24,000. Public Health, $20,000. But the worst offender of all, the CBC. $78,643, a communications company. This is outrageous. We have the CBC that is funded by the taxpayer to the tune of $1.4 billion, who get coaching from an outside consultant in the tune of $78,643 so they can come to committee to defend why they're getting bonuses. Sorry, did I say defend? I meant spin. Here's a clip of Andy.
I mean, when we say that the CBC is just an arm of the Liberal Party, this is what we're talking about here, okay? So the Liberal, by the way, Mark Carney gave them $150 million raise. And that was actually an election pledge from him, which seems like bribery, doesn't it, in a way? But in any case, funded $1.4 billion from the government, and then they hire consultants to train the head of the CBC to essentially trick the Canadian people in committee.
Andrew Scheer in committee, where he's questioning the CEO of CBC. And I just want to see if you'll catch something here.
Another measure of success or failure, if there aren't a lot of errors, and that would be a good thing. If there are a lot of errors, that would be a bad thing. Would you agree on that?
Well, I actually would put a response on error.
Did you see that? Watch again.
Well, I actually would put a response. Did
you catch that? She was about to say spin. Now, why would she say that? Did someone coach her? I want to know exactly how much that cost. How much did it cost her to defend the millions of dollars of bonuses that were paid out to CBC? Because by my guess, it's thousands of dollars. But this is just another day in Liberal Canada.
I don't agree with the premise.
It's just spending money to train bureaucrats to trick the Canadian people. I mean, this country has become an utter and total joke. The corruption is just so deep at this point. They probably think it's normal, actually, right? That's just normal. That's just how you do things. Let's see. Let's go back to the chat for a second. All right. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Well, Izzy is saying she should have a leather apron to protect her from slivers. I don't know. I think she's a pro. I don't think she's worried about it. Rosie says, I was going to be inclusive when we picked up my kids at the airport Wednesday night. My husband crushed my aspirations. He forbade me from welcoming them with a shout of Allahu Akbar. Don't do that. Everybody immediately drops and hides behind something because you know what's coming next. Oh, terrifying. Let's see. Izzy says, no, it's just the East. The election is decided there. Yeah, the elections are decided in Eastern Canada, unfortunately. Let's see. Rosie says, this Canada joining Cuba is horrifying. It's just insanity. It's childish, actually, is what it is. It's childish. It's elbows up. It's just childish. All right. So what's going on here? What's really happening in the UK? So here's Russell Brand. And let's see. All right, let's see this. Russell Brand, what's really happening in the UK? And it's similar to what's happening across the Anglosphere, right? Like a total takeover of every institution by far leftists and far leftist authoritarians. Let's take a listen.
Something strange is going on in the UK. I think it's been captured. I think it's a nation that hates its population and is trying.
Let me get this smaller because, yeah, here we go. Let's start over.
Something strange is going on in the UK. I think it's been captured. I think it's a nation that hates its population and is trying to destroy it. Many people believe that there's a connection between the huge number of people that have been arrested, more than anywhere else in the world, for social media posts, and this sense of draconian government overreach. It includes extraordinary decisions like ignoring the rape gang crisis, appearing to shut down free speech wherever it opposes government mandates, extraordinary behavior during COVID, the deployment of the 77th Brigade, for example, a PSYOPs organization that was started to deal with misinformation in foreign countries like Iraq that ultimately ended up being used on the domestic population. All this leads back to one man, one AIDS test, one leader, Keir Starmer. My belief, my prayer for Britain is that it becomes a Christian country, directly controlled by the people. Something strange is going on in the UK, I think.
Well, I think that's the only way, actually, whether you're Christian, a practicing Christian, or cultural Christian. I think that is really the only way going forward because something has been lost. And we've handed everything over to utterly immoral people. Here we go. What did he say about the 77th Brigade? Let's take a look.
COVID, the deployment of the 77th Brigade, for example.
77th Brigade, what is that? So, adapting to warfare in the information age. 77th Brigade Information Operations. Information Operations. So, let's see. I guess misinformation, PSYOPs, that sort of thing. Adapting to warfare in the information age. Warfare is rapidly evolving, and the ability to compete in the information domain is critical. We must develop our capabilities and find novel ways of operating to counter our adversaries. It sounds like this would be something because it's military for, other countries. But it turns out the adversaries are actually their own people. Who we are. The 77th Brigade is a hybrid unit of regulars and reservists with specialist skills to combat new forms of warfare in the information environment for the defense of the UK and its overseas territories and to oppress the people of the UK. For our globalist masters, let's see. Telegraph. Army's Information Warfare Unit monitored COVID lockdown critics. So maybe that's what it was for the whole time, really. Maybe they weren't telling the truth. Whistleblower reveals specialist military team spent time monitoring the social media posts of ordinary, scared people. So wait a second. It said here, let's see, the defense of the UK and its overseas territories doesn't mention anything about being an Orwellian tool of the state to oppress the people of the UK. They left that part out for some reason. Crazy. So, yeah, I mean, there's some version of, whether we're talking about Canada or the UK or Australia or the US, there's some version of any of these problems that we're talking about in every one of those countries, right? And the left, whether they're in, if they're in power, they will do it as much as they can. The left, where it's in power, will just jam this stuff through, right? And, Biden was very aspirationally in the same Orwellian tone as a Keir Starmer or a Trudeau or a Carney or an Albanese in Australia. And it almost seems like they feel like there's a Best Buy date, right? And they've just got to get it done. It's just got to happen. That's why in Canada you see all of these censorship bills coming through. The Liberal Party is obsessed with it, right? They feel like they've got to just take it all now. But let's pray that they don't. Basil the Great posted this. So here is Rupert Lowe, whose Restore Party is rapidly gaining market share in the UK, and for good reason. Let's take a look.
We hear so much of the human rights for foreign paedophiles, sex pests and murderers.
Is not giving way. Members may disagree with what he's saying, but we will conduct this in an orderly way.
What about the human rights of the British people? The right not to be raped, stabbed and killed by foreigners who should never have been in our country to begin with. Please spare me the continued moral outrage.
Mr. Lowe, sorry.
We hear so much of the human rights.
You can hear him being heckled by a far left lunatic, right? Who will just watch the country burn to the ground, right? From their high horse until the horse burns down too. Those are the people that every decent person in the West is fighting against. Every sane person is fighting against. Rupert Lowe, this is his. I think he is seen by a lot of people as kind of the last hope of the UK, because he's willing to talk about the things that are not, mainstream narrative approved, establishment approved. All right, what do we got here? Oh, are we on the last tab? I believe that we are. So this one we can't show tonight. We're going to show that on Monday. This one we've already seen. This I just think is weird. Like, where did this come from? What is it? Super 70s sports. I've always said Shawshank Redemption is the most satisfying movie ending ever. Perhaps I've been wrong. Let's take a look at this. It's just weird. I don't know what this is. I have no idea what this is, but I don't know. I kind of want to know. I don't want to look at the comments underneath because I've got a feeling it's going to be inappropriate things that will get my channel nuked. But because I didn't look earlier, so I get nervous because weird things show up in weird clips like this. But in any case, I don't know. I think it's just kind of hilarious. He just shoots like a hand missile at the guy and he blows up. I don't know. Just like it. Let's see. Women being awful. Yuck. Well, let's see. So here's a viral no makeup photo sparks backlash for Sydney Sweeney. So there's her all done up, and there's her with no makeup. And boy, I think these things are just clickbait because, like, yeah, no makeup looks fantastic. Great. In fact, I'd say better, actually. So I don't know. I think this is a thing where they put stuff out like this, and because they know that it's going to get engagement because people are going to say, "What are you talking about? She's gorgeous," right? Like, I think she looks better without the makeup. So I don't know. Let's see. This is funny. Here's Roseanne Barr. She's destroying the "what is a woman" question. So Piers Morgan's asking her, "What is a woman?" And she gives a very Roseanne Barr response. Let's take a look.
What is a woman?
A woman is me. A woman is somebody whose breasts hang down to her stomach and who has a prolapsed uterus from giving birth to 5 ungrateful little bastards who have never had to work for a thing in their goddamn life. That's what a woman is.
What is a woman?
Yeah, that's pure Roseanne. It's pretty good. Let's see. Alex Stein. Jason Jones posted this. He says he likes transgenders in women's sports because you can gamble on them and win money. I think people have thought of that. I think they're pretty bad odds, I think, is the problem.
Welcome. Introduce yourself. Go ahead.
My name's Alex Stein. I'm considered one of the sexiest men in conservative politics. And one thing I want to say, a lot of people are going to hear my testimony and you're going to say you're anti-LGBTQ. I want to say that's impossible because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. So obviously I have a lot of gay pride. But, you know, a lot of conservatives like yourself, you want to outlaw transgenders in women's sports. I disagree. I like transgenders in women's sports because you can gamble on them and win money. And I won so much money on Leah Thomas's propeller in that pool. I almost turned draft kings into draft queens. And, you know, I actually like transgenders in the military, too, because, first of all, transgenders are some of the meanest people on planet Earth. So they'd make a good soldier, don't you think? And then, you know, second of all, transgenders love to do mass shootings. So, you know, that's perfect for a military veteran. And then on top of that, the suicide rate is incredibly high among transgender people. So we could just use them like the Taliban has suicide bombers. Maybe you guys can actually, you know, if you commit suicide, actually help us in the battlefield. So that would be good. So I think we need transgenders in the military and women.
So the guy sitting next to him is keeping a straight face there. Is he? How hard is he trying to keep a straight face? I don't know.
In sports. Now, when we come to the bathroom bill, though, this is an asymmetrical problem because, first of all, no dude cares if, like, a bisexual woman comes in there and tries to use, like, a pee funnel. You know, some lady boy comes in there, some, you know, stud comes in there, wants to pee in the urinal. No guy's going to be threatened by, you know, a trans woman. But we don't want these gargoyles in a dress, you know, some chick with a dick coming in there and trying to pee or poop next to my girlfriend because that's disgusting. And, well, I was going to say something. Listen, I have my First Amendment right. Let me just speak. So we're sick of these transgenders trying to invade women's personal spaces. These people have autogynephilia. They're sexual perverts, and they actually get satisfaction from going there and looking under a stall. So these are mentally ill people that are on hormones, that are on all kinds of pills. They're impulsive, and they do not belong in a women's restroom. So if some of you lesbians want to come in and pee next to me, you're more than welcome. So we just don't let the chicks with dicks in the women's room, and you guys are all welcome in the men's room. I think that works.
Thank you very much.
So his thing, the reason he's different is he will take it all the way. He will take the joke all the way, and he doesn't care. All right, let's see. This will show on Monday. It's funny. All right, how about this one? You guys sent this in. Fox News guest lays bare the World Economic Forum's entire agenda in just under 60 seconds. Pardon me. Let's take a look.
Joining me now is Ned Ryan, American CEO. Ned, great to see you tonight. It seems that the goal of this crowd is to kind of create the same panic about climate change that they successfully created around COVID. Do I have this wrong?
No, you have it correct. I mean, first of all, we have to accept the World Economic Forum is a fanatical political organization that uses fear and manipulation like COVID hysteria, like the hoax of global warming, to really facilitate people thinking that somehow they're the saviors, but really all you're doing is helping them accomplish their goal, which really is a global public-private fascist movement and fusion of big government, big tech, big money to create a technocratic ruling elite, which conveniently is them. And really, Laura, if you want to look at a different way too with the World Economic Forum, they want to create feudalism 2.0 in which we are serfs and they are the lords ruling over us. You'll have nothing and be happy is one of the things that comes out of Davos. That's what they're aiming for. They're aiming for feudalism in which we are serfs and we should be happy that they are ruling over us.
Well, you know, Mark Carney was on the board of the World Economic Forum, and let's say technocratic globalist rule. That sounds about right. That sounds like what Mark Carney wants to do to Canada. Just get everybody. Well, he's going to put Canada into debt slavery. I don't think there's. I mean, he's doubled the deficit over what Trudeau would have done had he still been prime minister. Right. So the economic genius, Mark Carney. I think he wants to rack up I think he wants to max out the national credit card to feed his global net zero finance machine. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if Canada needs a bailout by the time he's gone, because he's going to leave. He'll go back to Europe or wherever and, pick a castle to live in somewhere with all the wealth he's accrued at Canada's expense. I wouldn't be surprised if we need a bailout. Canada just doesn't end up getting sold for scraps by the time he's done with the country. I think he's quite happy. And when you read his book Values, by the way, it is very clear that when he talks about values and things have to be based on values, he's talking about his values. His values are not your values. They're not my values. They're his values. And what he really means by values is his interests. And I can tell you, his interests are not your interests, and they're not my interests. Absolutely. It's clear when you read his book that he just sees people as ants. You're just numbers on a spreadsheet, right? He's a central planner. He does not have faith in people, in individuals. He does not have any faith in this, patchwork quilt of consequential knowledge that makes up a successful economy. He's not interested in that. You're just an ant. Right? You exist to be told what to do. You exist at the leisure of the Mark Carneys of the world. You exist at the leisure of the people who meet up at the World Economic Forum and make the globalist plans every year. That's what your fate is in the Mark Carney's world of values. So, but yeah, it's serfdom. Yeah, I think so. He'll have everybody in Canada living in shipping containers. Perfectly happy with that. Low carbon, don't you know? Low carbon. Right? How could Canada be any fucking dumber? I don't know. Well, I guess if they give them a majority government, that's how they could be dumber. That's how we can be dumber. Let's see. This one, we'll save that to Monday, maybe. Let's see. Have you brushed up on your Islamobonics? What's this? Erin Wexler. Well, let's take a look at this. What's she saying?
Assalamu alaikum, New York City. Wow. How does this room feel about Mamdani? Yeah. Oh. The way he talks, I describe it as it's Islamobonics. Islamobonics is the way people talk when they want to live in the high-rise luxury buildings that they also want to fly planes into, Assalamu alaikum.
I think she nailed it. I think that she nailed it right there. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is funny. This is Dave Landau. You might remember him from Louder with Crowder. And he was also on Anthony, what's his name? Anthony, I forget his last name now. Cumia, Anthony Cumia's show. Let's see. He's very funny.
I have a son. He's cool. I brought him to Vegas. He's 10, so it was about time. I was doing the MGM there, and my wife wanted to come so they could see shows. They actually wanted to see the David Copperfield show, and then the Epstein list came out, and I was like, it's better we don't. I don't want my son getting called up to the stage and then not coming back. Like, for my next trip, you're like, where's all the kids? I mean, no, it's a great illusion, but I'm serious. Where's my family? Bill Gates is just eating one. Yeah, so I don't know, I just have a kid, so I worry about that. We were in Vegas, though. We were walking down the Vegas Strip. My son's 10, so he's at this age where he will say horrible things but not realize how cutting they actually are. And my wife and him and they have these girls who are outside, they're showgirls, and they're, usually like in like a bikini and sparkly and whatever. And they stop us, and this girl goes, do you want to take a picture with me? To him, and he goes, oh, not really. And I go, son, you can take a picture with her, it's fine. And she goes, yeah, don't disappoint your dad. And he goes, haven't you disappointed yours? On my life, he said that. And I'm looking over at my wife to see what she's doing, and she's laughing her ass off. She's very feministy, and she was like, holy f***. And I was like, what do you charge for a picture? I'll just give it to you for your hurt feelings. That's funny. Here you go. Enjoy. I'm like, you just made somebody cry who I thought couldn't be broken anymore. I was proud of him.
That's good. That's very good. He's very funny, Landau. Check this guy out. Anti-ICE protester rubs pepper ball residue in his gums. Dude was not enjoying that. Yeah, not brilliant. Not brilliant. Let's take a look.
There you go. All that pepper. I can handle it. All right. Don't bother me a bit.
It did bother him. It did bother him. As it turns out, it did bother him. They prey on, I think, mentally ill, a lot of mentally ill, and also very low IQ as well. So, yeah, it's not surprising somebody would do something that insanely idiotic. Security cameras show the moment a sinkhole suddenly opens at an Omaha intersection, swallowing two vehicles before the drivers managed to escape. So this is kind of nightmare material, really, isn't it? Right here. Check this out. Here we go. Check this out. Oh, just suddenly that happens? No thanks. Crazy. And these guys are backing away now. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Yeah. Is that covered by the insurance? Does the insurance cover that? I don't know. That's it, folks. We are done. We are done. All right. I want to say to anybody watching on YouTube, go to the second channel, Radio Baloney News. Just had it for 5-6 months now. This is where everything is going to end up. The channel you're watching right now, if you're watching live, is Radio Baloney, the original channel. There's so much suppression on this channel, and it's been like demonetized a couple of times, and I decided to start a second channel up and just start fresh with this. So this is all the world news, the U.S. news, woke mind virus, meme reviews, all on Radio Baloney News, the second channel. It's a featured channel on the homepage of this channel, which is Radio Baloney, which is only for live streams and Canadian news now. But I'm starting to migrate a little bit of the Canadian news slowly over to the new channel as well. So please subscribe. The algorithm hates you. It hates me. It hates the channel. It fears us combining our powers and becoming more powerful than it could ever imagine. That's its greatest fear, the algorithm and the machine that seeks to keep us ignorant. So let's not let it do that, and go subscribe. And it's good for you and stuff. and somebody didn't, and like the next day they got lupus. So seriously, like it's a health thing too. It's a health issue. Let's see. And you can get more of this stuff, which is great. Why isn't it playing? God damn it, play. There we go. It's a sanding show for people who want to learn how to sand. There we go. All right. Let's finish up the chat and we'll get out of here. 3 hours on a Friday. It's not, a long Friday show, but it's not that short either. Let's see. Yeah, you be careful with those Allahu Akbars, Rosie. That freaks people out. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Izzy says, talking about, what's his name, Alex Stein. Love how straight-faced he delivers his stuff. It must be difficult. Let's see. Rosie says, before that, Roseanne was hilarious too. Yeah, she's great. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, imagine being removed from a television show with your name on it. She's literally the show, Roseanne, for being conservative. I know. It's terrible. Candle Monkey says, another great show. Candle Monkey's so cool. Let's see. Swambot is exhausted. Swambot father is very late. Rosie says, remember Miley Cyrus made a video featuring herself rolling around on the Hollywood stars? She got a serious bacterial infection. Yikes. The Hollywood on the street there. Yeah, the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Oh, disgusting. Yuck. Let's see. All right. You know what? Before we go, one last thing, because we haven't done this in a while, but I want to find something out because of all this outrage about the Team USA hockey team and Trump and blah, blah, blah. I want to find something out.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Okay, we're going to find out, is hockey racist? I think I know the answer already. Parks Canada, breaking racial barriers on the national hockey. There's no barriers. If you're good enough, you play on the team. It's as simple as that. Hockey Canada's statement on racism. Hockey Canada knows racism exists in the world. It is far too common here in Canada, and people of color experience racism daily. No, they don't. That's just all bullshit. It's not common in Canada. Look, the people that are moving here, they come from places where there's a lot of where racism is normal, right? Tribalism, racism is normal. So we're importing racism, right? But Canada wasn't a racist country before. The racism is not the racism you're pretending that it is. Let's see. Hockey Canada Summit addresses discrimination within the sport. There's still racism. Well, there you have it. Hockey's racist. I knew it was going to be. I didn't even have to do that. Candle Monkey says, I thought he was wrapping up the show. I know. I wanted to just do that one thing. And we haven't done a Is It Racist for a long time. So I thought we'd do it. Maybe we'll do some Is It Racist on Sunday. You guys think of some things to ask the internet if it's racist or not, like pencils or something, slippers. All right. Well, I guess that's it, everybody. I want to thank you guys for showing up, because if you weren't here, I would be ranting to a cold and indifferent universe, and that would be depressing. But I'm not ranting to that. I'm ranting to a bunch of degenerates that are in my chat. And thank you guys so much. If you guys keep showing up, I will keep showing up. And we'll see everybody on Sunday, 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Everybody have a great weekend, And watch out for that white supremacy. Brrr. Don't drink milk. Don't drink terrifying white supremacist milk. Maybe a little bit in your coffee, but that's it. It's racist. Anyway, everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you Sunday.